Live from the CSI Baseball Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents exclusive NCAA Division II baseball coverage. Today's single 9-inning game features the Purple Knights of the University of Bridgeport taking on the Dolphins of the College of Staten Island. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joe Foreman, and I will soon be joined by David Pizzuto, who will be bringing you all the action live from behind home plate during today's game, and we're proud to welcome you into our first baseball broadcast of the season on the ECC network. But for the Dolphins, they have already played 5 games this season, dropping all of those games and surrendering 9 runs in each of those defeats. So in their 2021 home opener, the Dolphins will be in search of their first win of the season. The University of Bridgeport coming in looking for a season series sweep over the College of Staten Island. These two teams played each other 2 days ago. The University of Bridgeport winning both of those games by final scores of 17-10 and 13-10, dropping the Dolphins to 0-5 on the season, as I mentioned, and the University of Bridgeport following that pair of victories on Friday, improving to 3-2 overall, 3-2 in the East Coast Conference. For the Dolphins, all 5 of their games played this season within the East Coast Conference as well. They are 0-5 in 2021 thus far. And we're about set to get underway here from the CSI Baseball Complex. It appears just a few minutes early as first pitch was scheduled for 3:30, about 3:23 right now. So I'll bring you the starting lineup for the University of Bridgeport that Dolphin starting pitcher Nick Metzger will face. Leading off for the Purple Knights, number 25, Canal Roberts. Batting second is number 9, the shortstop Matt Rodriguez. Batting third, the center fielder, number 3, Ryan Donnelly. Batting fourth and playing first base, number 1, Andre Marchessault. Batting fifth and catching number 11, Anthony Pascal. Batting sixth and playing second base, number 10, Craig Leonard. Batting seventh and playing right field, number 26, Stephen Giambra. Batting eighth, the designated hitter, number 28, Jacob Rich. And batting ninth, the left fielder, number 18, Justin Nayoradi. And wrapping up that lineup just in time for first pitch as we are underway from the College of Staten Island. Metzger's first pitch of the game is over for a called strike one. First pitch here at the CSI Baseball Complex since May of 2019 when the Dolphins hosted the CUNYAC Championship Tournament. Dolphins fell in the CUNYAC Championship 2 years ago. That is the last time this team took their home field here at the College of Staten Island. And that one's hit on the ground over to short. Cipoletti fields, and a strong throw over to first in time to retire Roberts for the first out of the game. That will bring up the shortstop, Matt Rodriguez, batting out of the second place in the Purple Knights batting order. Rodriguez comes in a .222 hitter on the season. And the first pitch he sees is off the outside corner for ball 1. Here comes the 1-0 from Metzger. I'll have his numbers following this at bat as he misses with a second straight out of the zone for ball 2. Favorable hitters count for Rodriguez right here. He's ahead 2-0. And the pitch from Metzger, an off-speed pitch that misses high for ball 3. Initially, I thought that elicited some early groans from the Dolphins dugout, but that's the Purple Knights making some noise on the top step of the visitors' dugout. Here comes the 3-0 from Metzger, and that misses well outside for ball 4. So Metzger issues a 4-pitch walk to Matt Rodriguez, and that will bring up Brian Donnelly. Two L's in Ryan's last name, so I'll go with Donnelly the rest of the way. Donnelly, a .313 hitter on the season, entering today's game, slugging at .500. So strong numbers at the plate for Donnelly to open up the 2021 season, and a big swing right there as he swings straight through that pitch from Metzger for strike 1. Pickoff attempt over toward first, but Rodriguez back in with plenty of time. Metzger with a look over towards first base, now glancing over his shoulder back towards second base, and that one skips in the dirt for ball one. Pulling up the numbers on Metzger right now. I'll have those after this pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike the count on Dinelli. And that off-speed pitch finds the outside corner for strike 2. For Nick Metzger on the season, he's pitched to an ERA of an even 12. He is 0-1 with a whip of 2.33. In 3 innings pitched, he's allowed 4 hits, 6 runs, 4 of those earned. He's walked 3 and struck out 2 as the 1-2 pitch misses downstairs. Two balls and 2 strikes to count. Rodriguez increasing his lead off first just a bit. And the 2-2 delivery is popped up into shallow left field. Coming on is Mandil, and he makes the catch for the second out. Andre Marchesal, the cleanup hitter for the Purple Knights, steps into the box. Pulling up his numbers at the plate on the season. He comes in a .529 hitter in 17 plate appearances. Those 17 at-bats, 1 shy of the team lead behind Matt Rodriguez, the man who stands on first base, as that one's driven to deep left center field. Chasing it back toward the wall and watching it sail over the fence is Castiglione. It's a 2-run homer to deep left center field by Andre Marchesal, and the Purple Knights jump out to an early 2-0 lead in the top half of the first inning. That is one of the longest home runs I have ever seen hit here at the CSI Baseball Complex. That being said, I haven't seen too many, but it's not often you see the ball driven over the wall in left center field. And Marchesal left no doubt about that one off the bat as Castiglione gave chase, but had to watch it sail over that high fence out there in left center field. That gives the University of Bridgeport an early 2-0 lead. And that will bring up the catcher, Anthony Pascal. Pascal ahead in the count, 1-0, and he looks at ball 2. Pascal coming into this game a .250 hitter on the season. Head in the count here, 2-0. He looks at ball 3. See if Pascal has the green light on anything close here, 3-0. And he will look at ball 4. So it's a 4-pitch walk once again issued by Nick Metzger. And that will bring up Craig Leonard. Leonard, the Purple Knights' second baseman, comes in a .375 hitter in 16 plate appearances. With 2 away, he bats a runner on first. And he looks at a called strike 1. Metzger hasn't pitched from ahead in the count much in this top half of the first inning. He'll get a chance to do so right here. The 0-1 pitch upcoming to Leonard, and Metzger will step off and take a look at Pascal standing over at first base. Pascal 0 for 1 in stolen base attempts this season. As the batter Leonard takes a big swing and a miss for strike 2. Metzger 1 strike away for bringing this top half of the first inning to a close. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. And that breaking ball sails over the head of Leonard for ball 1. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Pascal with a small lead off at first as Leonard looks at ball 2. Metzger's pitch count at 21 thus far. Here comes his 2-2 offering to Leonard. There goes Pascal, and that one is sliced foul, just wide of first base. So Pascal will have to head back. As a team, the Purple Knights 11 of 14 on attempted stolen bases this year. We'll see if Metzger pays extra attention to Pascal, who was running on that last pitch. And Leonard will step out of the box. So we'll reset here on 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. The pitch from Metzger is hit well out to left field, but Leonard got under it just a bit, and Mandiel will make the catch for the final out in the top half of the first, but not before the Purple Knights strike for a pair on an Andre Marchessault 2-run homer when the Dolphins come to bat. They'll be trailing 2-0 when we return here on CSI Sportsnet.
In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
And we're back here on CSI Sportsnet. Dolphins coming to bat in their half of the first inning, trailing 2-0. Andre Marchessault of the Purple Knights with a 2-run homer in the top half of the inning to give his team a 2-run lead. On the mound for the Purple Knights in this game, Jason Giambra. The numbers for him on the season, he comes in with an ERA of 3.18, a record of 0-1. His one appearance this season was a start. In that start, he threw 5 2/3 innings, allowed 6 hits, 2 runs, both of those earned. He walked 1 and struck out 5. Opponents hitting at .286 against him on the season. And the Dolphins lineup that he will face is as follows. Leading off, the left fielder, number 25, Louis Mandiel. Batting second, the center fielder, number 21, Dominic Castiglione. Batting third, the first baseman, number 31, Peter Lombardo. In the cleanup spot, the right fielder, number 14, Thomas Joyce. Batting fifth, designated hitter, number 33, Thomas Martin. Batting sixth, the third baseman, number 24, Shendi Ulaj. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 13, Sal Trancucci. The fourth, batting eighth, the second baseman, number 11, Julian Iacono. And batting ninth, the shortstop, number 2, Nick Cipoletti. As I mentioned during the pregame, the Dolphins surrendering at least 9 runs in all 5 of their defeats this season. But the Dolphins have also been able to put runs up on the scoreboard, especially against this University of Bridgeport team. The Dolphins combining to score 20 runs across the 2 games in Friday's doubleheader. Or make that, these games are actually listed on here as Saturday, so make that Saturday's doubleheader. So much rescheduling this past week for the Dolphins and Purple Knights as these games are moved around many times before ultimately being played this past weekend. But regardless of the day, it was 20 runs up on the scoreboard for the Dolphins, scoring 10 in each game. Unfortunately for them, that was not enough as they surrendered 17 in Game 1, dropping that game 17-10. Then in Game 2, they surrendered 13 runs and fell 13-10 in the second game. Louis Mandiel steps into the right-hand hitter's batter's box to open up the bottom half of the first inning, and he takes a look at ball 1. Here comes the 1-0 from Giambra, and that's in for a called strike 1. One ball and 1 strike the count. And that is in for a called strike 2. Mandiel on the season hitting at .316 for the Dolphins across 19 plate appearances. Slugging at .684 as he looks at that one off the outside corner, evening the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Long look in from Giambra. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. And that breaking ball misses high for ball 3. So an early full count on Mandiel. Here comes the payoff pitch. And that's skied foul over the press box and out of play. Three balls and 2 strikes to count on Louis Mandiel, the Dolphins' leadoff hitter. And he takes down and away in the dirt for ball 4. So the Dolphins have a leadoff base runner to open up their half of the first inning. And that will bring up familiar face Dominic Castiglione. And that sound of the commentary booth door sliding open is the sound of David Pizzuto entering the commentary booth, and he will join me on the call. This is Joe Foreman as Dave puts on his headset.
Thank you, Joe.
As we welcome Dave to the broadcast, Dominic Castiglione takes ball 1. Castiglione, one of a few familiar faces on this Dolphins team, as CSI did get 8 games in last year.
Yeah, and he didn't play on Saturday for the Dolphins in that doubleheader that the Dolphins dropped against Bridgeport. So Dolphins thankful to get Dom's bat back in the lineup.
Stellar bat and a stellar glove of Dominic Castiglione re-entering that Dolphins lineup today. As Castiglione comes into today's action, hitting an even .500 over a couple of games. 3 hits and 6 at-bats for him thus far.
Yeah, Joe, Dom missed that 3rd game against Malloy last weekend after he suffered an injury, and then he didn't play the last 2 games against Bridgeport, so missed a total of 3 games. But like you mentioned, hit .500 in that season-opening doubleheader at Malloy.
He has a 2-0 count here and looks at ball 3. So both pitchers struggling a bit to find the strike zone in the first inning of this one. And going back to that 2-run homer, off the bat, I was fairly certain it was over the left center field wall, but if anyone could have made that a play, should the ball have stayed in the ballpark, it was Dominic Castiglione. 3-0 the count on Dom here, and he looks at ball 4. That is our 3rd 4-pitch walk of the game, 2 issued by Metzger in the top half of the first, and now a 4-pitch walk issued by Giambra here in the bottom half. He's now issued 2 walks in this half inning, first 2 Dolphins on, and Peter Lombardo will be the batter.
Yeah, Lombardo, also a player who the Dolphins missed early part of the season, is back in the lineup, was at the doubleheader at Bridgeport on Saturday, but missed the Malloy series. So Dolphins are grateful to get him back in the lineup.
4 hits in his 8 plate appearances thus far, including a double.
Yeah, and Peter got off to a really great start last year in 2020, which was his first season with the Dolphins, a transfer. And obviously we all know that the baseball season got stalled last year after 8 games, but Peter was on fire to start the 2020 season.
Both teams appearing to be on fire at the plate when they met this past weekend, as I was speaking about before you entered the booth. Dolphins scoring 20 runs and the Purple Knights scoring 30 across 2 games in Saturday's doubleheader.
Yeah, we had a couple of football scores on Saturday, 17-10, 13-10. We were following it on the live stream and the live stats by Bridgeport.
Certainly could have fooled me with those final run tallies as the 0-1 pitch to Lombardo misses downstairs.
Yeah, so Giambra, who lost the first 2 batters now, got ahead on Lombardo, but now the count even. Lombardo making sure to stay patient there, understanding that Giambra's walked the first 2.
The walk tally on Giambra entering this start, only 1 across his 5 2/3 innings of work in his previous outing. So he surpassed that already, as that one is hit toward the hole on the left side. It's through for a base hit. Rounding second, heading to third is Castiglione as Mandiel comes in to score the first Dolphins run. Lombardo will be into second standing, and the Dolphins now have runners on second and third, still nobody out, and they've cut the lead in half. It's 2-1.
Yeah, that's going to be a base hit for the Dolphins, plus an error on the left fielder that allowed Lombardo to take second base and Castiglione to get to third. And now the Dolphins are in great position here as they've cut the lead in half.
Dave will head down the hall to dish out the official scoring on that one as Thomas Joyce steps into the box with 2 runners in scoring position and nobody out. Joyce, a left-handed hitter, batting out of the cleanup spot for CSI, and he looks at ball 1. Joyce swung the bat well in an abbreviated 2020 season for the Dolphins and comes in hitting at .278 through 18 plate appearances thus far in 2021. And he takes a called strike. Joyce, one of a few Dolphins to start in all 6 games to this point. That's including today's single 9-inning affair. Count on him even at 1 ball and 1 strike right here, and he takes inside for ball 2. With his start in this one, Nick Cipoletti has now started all 6 games for the Dolphins, as has Louis Mandil. Two balls and 1 strike, the count on Joyce. And he looks at ball 3 down and in. So Giambra, uncharacteristically, at least based on his first start of the season, unable to find the strike zone right now. And he's behind in the count yet again. Joyce hitting with a 3-1 hitter's count. First base is open. You don't have to give him a pitch to hit here.
It's a long look by Giambra.
Said that 2 batters ago as well. I've noticed that as Joyce hits one sharply on the ground to second. Leonard will go to first with it, and the tying run comes home as Castiglione scores the second Dolphins run. Our score now even at 2.
Yeah, so an RBI ground out for Thomas Joyce. Dolphins have gotten themselves even now 2-2, and now it's continues with Thomas Martin, the designated hitter, with Peter Lombardo at third base.
Thomas Martin, the Dolphins' designated hitter, with a chance to give CSI the lead here. 1 out in the Dolphins' half of the first inning. And he hits one on the ground to short softly. Rodriguez will throw to first, and that throw is not scooped out by Mark Chasal. And on with what I presume would be an error. Certainly would be an error, either on the throw or on the failure to scoop that one out of the dirt. We'll see how it's scored, but regardless, standing over at first base is Martin, and the Dolphins now have runners on the corners with 1 away. First pitch to Martin is on the inside corner for a called strike 1. Martin comes in a .333 hitter, 2 of 6 on the season thus far. Both of those hits going for extra bases, a pair of doubles for Martin. Still no official scoring on that last ball hit on the infield by Martin. As this is Shendi Ulaj hits one out to deep center field, and that's over the head of Ryan Donnelly. It rolls to the wall. He plays it off the fence, heading to third, and stopping there is Martin, and standing on second base is Shendi Ulaj with an RBI double that has given CSI a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, Shendi staying red hot. He had 7 RBI, all in that doubleheader on Saturday, including a grand slam home run, and gets the day started nicely for the Dolphins and puts them ahead after being in a 2-0 hole. Dolphins have sprinkled in 3 runs now. Benefits of a couple of walks issued by Giambra, an error on the play as well, and on 2 hits, the Dolphins have a 1-run lead.
So the official scoring on that ball, Dave, hit by Martin softly to short. We gave a hit on that one down the hall?
No.
The dribbler
Martin
is
was
short.
was an E6.
E6 officially. So it is an error on the shortstop on that one. It's 2 errors in the inning for the University of Bridgeport. Sal Trancucci will be the batter. Another long look in from Giambra on this first pitch, as Trancucci will call time. He's 2 for 8 on the season and even .250 at the plate for Trancucci.
Yeah, Trancucci oftentimes behind the plate, but also has been known to take the mound from time to time.
And he looks at that one down and away for ball 1.
Yeah, but you mentioned, Joe, the Dolphins without a little bit of firepower in their batting order did spread out a lot of runs and a lot of hits this past weekend against Bridgeport, and now almost at full strength, looking like they're on pace.
And that one is fouled away, evening the count at 1 ball and 1 strike. And I was talking about that before you entered the room, Dave. The Dolphins certainly appearing hot at the plate in that doubleheader against Bridgeport. Really didn't miss a beat with the bats. Unfortunately for them, didn't have any answers coming out of that bullpen to slow down the bats of the Purple Knights. And the University of Bridgeport just kept pouring it on. The Dolphins simply could not record outs in the late innings. As Trancucci looks at that breaking ball upstairs for ball 2.
Yeah, and Bridgeport very aggressive at the plate in the weekend series, really hopping on the pitching early, swinging away. And, we've seen several times against schools that it's their second or third time around the order that they do damage. Bridgeport attacks the pitchers quickly, and that's what got the Dolphins in trouble in this weekend series.
That's pitch number 25 for Giambra right there. It's popped up in foul territory, and Marchessault will make the catch for the second out. Both runners holding, and that will leave it to Julian Iacono. Iacono coming in. As I look for his numbers here, he is a .250 hitter, 1 for 4 thus far. He's appeared in 3 games for the Dolphins to this point. All of those appearances coming off of the bench.
Yeah, so getting his first start, as Joe mentioned, and big first at-bat here with 2 runners still on. The inning, of course, continuing because of the error.
That one is chopped just foul. And with that foul pop-up that retired Trancucci, that affords the Purple Knights the luxury of moving their infielders back. They had the infield drawn in all around with Trancucci at the plate, not conceding a run with 1 away in the bottom half of the first inning. Not too unusual with first base unoccupied, but still an interesting decision nonetheless, as that one misses down and away for ball 1. Martin, the runner at third, Ulaj over at second. Julian Iacono up in a big RBI spot with 2 outs. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. And that one's lined foul. And with each foul ball, I am very happy that I chose to park far away from the bleachers and the area immediately behind the CSI baseball complex.
Yeah, most of the cars are parked in that second row. Made sure we told the staff to do that because there's been a lot of broken windshields here at the CSI baseball complex over the years.
I certainly don't intend to add my Honda CR-V to the list, as that one is chopped on the right side of the infield. Marchessault will make the play over at first. He'll step on the bag for the final out of the inning, but not before the Dolphins take the lead in the bottom half of the first. They put 3 up on the scoreboard. When the Purple Knights come to bat, they'll be trailing by a run in the top half of the second inning.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
And We are back here on CSI Sportsnet. Dolphins taking the lead in the bottom half of the first inning over the Purple Knights by a score of 3-2. A huge two-run homer by Andre Marchessault in the top half of the first gave the University of Bridgeport the early lead, but command issues for both pitchers thus far. Nick Metzger for the Dolphins and Jason Giambra for the Purple Knights, really setting the table in each half of the first inning. It was a walk that came around to score on that Marchessault home run, and then a couple of walks issued in the first inning by Giambra, both ultimately coming around to score and allowing the Dolphins to ultimately take a 3-2 lead. For the Purple Knights in their half of the second inning, it will be 7, 8, and 9, beginning with Steven Giambra, the Purple Knights right fielder. Behind him, Jacob Rich, the designated hitter, and Justin Nairady, the left fielder, in the hole for Bridgeport, coming up in this top half of the second. And the first pitch of the inning from Metzger is fouled away. See if he can correct some of those command issues he had in the first.
Yeah, Giambra was very active in the weekend set as well between these two teams. Had a big Saturday.
Giambra on the season comes in hitting at 176 as that one is chopped foul straight down onto home plate. Perhaps off of Giambra, if I'm not mistaken. Given his reaction, it looks like he may have been hit by that ball. And that ball misses up and away. Count 1 ball and 2 strikes. That one's fouled away once again. You mentioned the big Saturday for Giambra in the early game. Had a couple of base hits and 3 RBIs with a run scored. And right here, he takes a called strike 3. So Metzger picks up the strikeout and retires the leadoff man for Bridgeport in their half of the second.
Yeah, so that's going to feel good for Metzger to get that leadoff out via the strikeout. And now the number 8 hitter, Jacob Rich.
Rich, the designated hitter for the Purple Knights in this one as he takes a called strike 1. Attempting a digital scorecard for the first time this season, trying to jump back and forth between the batting numbers and that scorecard. That's off the glove of Metzger, but straight into the glove of Cipoletti, who throws out the runner Rich for the second out. So a fortuitous bounce for the Dolphins, in the words of Walt Clyde Frazier, and throwing out the runner is Cipoletti from short.
Yeah, unconventional 1-6-3 put out there on Rich, and now Metzger looking to get through the first turn in the batting order for Bridgeport, in order here in the second, facing Nairady.
Well, both teams certainly testing my ability to use this new digital scorecard early on. It's a lot of fluky plays to this point, but so far so good, as Justin Nairady takes a called strike 1 and chops the 0-1 pitch on the infield. Tough play for Iacono and unable to make it, as that one took a funky bounce off the bat on the infield, and safe at first is Nairady.
Yeah, I don't know. That's an in-between call. That's a tough play for Iacono to make. I'm willing to give that one a hit.
As am I, and that's what I'm doing.
Yep.
I'm giving it a hit on the digital scorecard. So that'll be a soft grounder on the infield that goes for a 2-out single, and it's back to the top of the order for the Purple Knights. It will be Kanal Roberts. That base hit, the second of the game for Bridgeport. And it's another softly hit ground ball on the infield. Another chance for Cipoletti, and a nice scoop over at first by Lombardo to retire the side. So 2-out base runner for the Purple Knights and nothing more. Our score remains 3-2 heading into the bottom half of the second inning.
Wayne State Medical School has been my dream medical school since I was 5. Athletics are important, but so is service, so is research, so is becoming a better person. And we expect you to do well athletically, but don't forget the reason you're here, which is to give back to your community and to get good grades. It was my sophomore indoor season. It was the first year with our new head coach. And he comes in and he's like, we could be a national contending team if you guys work hard. And I heard him and I was like, well, I want to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. And I bought in because he bought into our team. And I qualified to go to indoor nationals. I decided I wanted it, so I went and grabbed it.
Bottom half of the second inning about to get underway from the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins leading the Purple Knights by a score of 3-2. The line thus far, 2 runs on 2 hits, a couple of errors for the University of Bridgeport. CSI 3 runs on a pair of base hits and no errors. Walks really hurting Purple Knights starter Jason Giambra in the bottom half of the first, helping the Dolphins to a 3 spot in their first turn at bat. And it will be the star of the top half of the second inning, Nick Cipoletti, leading things off for the Dolphins in the bottom half of inning number 2. A pair of impressive plays on the infield for Cipoletti in that last half inning, helping Nick Metzger to his first 0 up on the scoreboard thus far. And Cipoletti pops one up foul into the bleachers down the first baseline. Cipoletti comes in 2 for 15 on the season, but is certainly impressed with his glove thus far in this game. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. That's popped up once again, this time in play on the infield. And it's another putout for Marchesal over at first base, and there's one away.
Yeah, you could see Marchesal kind of shading his eyes, as that's right where the sun is beating down here at CSI, but did a nice job. Didn't have much to track it. Made the play, and Mandiel, who scored a run in the top of the first when he got walked, is back up top of the order.
And we'll call that alarm our reminder that it's back to the top of the order for the Dolphins, with Louis Mandiel stepping into the box and looking at a called strike 1.
Mandiel's gotten off to a good start. Hit a grand slam homer in their weekend opener against Malloy a little over a week ago.
One of a couple of grand slams for the Dolphins this season, as that one's popped up. Carrying out towards center field and ranging to his left to make the catch is Dinelli for out number 2.
Yeah, I'm sure our fans at home can see the American flag blowing from left to right here at the ballpark, and that fly ball trailed all the way for Donnelly to his left. And he did a nice job of tracking that one down. And now two quick outs here for CSI, and Castiglione the batter.
Castiglione walked in the previous inning, and the wind always a factor here at CSI Baseball Complex, but not as much a factor on the broadcast today as it was last week for softball.
Yeah, we'll be much better prepared this weekend when softball has a pair of doubleheaders, both Saturday and Sunday. They'll be home, and you and Mike Babusky will be calling those games, Joe?
The return of the bus, as that one's grounded over to first, and the toss over to Giambra covering in time for the final out of the inning. Dolphins go down 1-2-3 in their half of the second. When we come back, the Dolphins take a 3-2 lead into the top half of the third inning.
Well, for me, just kind of was the glue that kept my family together, I feel like. I don't know what it was that drew me in, but after I started playing for a while and started seeing some early success as a little kid, to see how much it meant to my parents to see me play the game and try to make a difference was really what fueled me to keep playing and stay competitive. Being a triple major is not necessarily easy, but at the same time it is what you make it. Being a tighter-knit university, I have a lot of classes with the same professors, so they know me pretty well. I think it's that personal relationship that really helped me to thrive as a student. I was able to come here and get my triple major, as well as play a super high level of baseball against some of the best players in the country. There's a lot of options here in Division II with a lot of great ball players and a lot of great people, and they make sure that they give you every opportunity to succeed on and off the field.
Anyway, so.
Yeah. And we are back from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins leading the Purple Knights by a score of 3-2. Dolphins went down 1-2-3 in their half of the second, as it appears both pitchers have solved their command issues stemming from the first inning. Jason Giambra for the Purple Knights with a 1-2-3 second, and Nick Metzger keeping the Purple Knights off of the scoreboard in the top half of the inning.
Yeah, and this is something that, the Dolphins coaching staff wants to see. They want to see their starters kind of settle down and give them multiple productive innings. Over this past weekend and in the series against Malloy, Dolphin pitchers struggled in, kind of back-to-back innings. Never could string a pair of, goose eggs on the scoreboard. And now the Dolphins are going to be put to the test here.
2, 3, and 4 due up for the Purple Knights. Rodriguez, Dinelli, and Marchesal.
Yeah, Rodriguez got things started in that first inning with the walk that was issued to him from Metzger, came around and scored.
And the 0-1 pitch skips to the backstop for ball one.
Coaching staff really high on Nick Metzger. He's another one of those players, Joe, who came on in 2020, obviously with the shortened season, but Metzger came back physically a little bit more imposing this season, and Dolphins expecting big things from him.
And his 1-1 pitch misses high for ball two. The batter Rodriguez drew one of a pair of Metzger walks back in the first. If I recall correctly, Metzger did win a Pitcher of the Week award in a very brief 2020 season for the CSI men's baseball team.
Yeah, he's gotten a little bit stronger and has added a little bit of power to those pitches. And remember, he's only a freshman, really, second year in school.
That one's hit well but foul into the right field corner, and that runs the count full.
And that's one of the things that a lot of, baseball teams are dealing with, of players who've been around multiple years, but of course got that year of eligibility back. So for all intents and purposes, Metzger has a full 4-year career on deck for the Dolphins, and 2020, of course, wiped away due to COVID.
Here comes the payoff pitch to Rodriguez, and that's popped up. It appears as if it will land foul, and it will, in the Purple Knights bullpen. But this season, the first season covering CSI Dolphins baseball for me, where there is not one player who was here when I started calling games on CSI Sportsnet. Last season that we covered the Dolphins on Sportsnet was 2019, and that saw the last of the players still on the roster in 2016 graduate. So I'm aging as our technology improves and our broadcast grows to a larger audience as well. And that one's hit well out to left field, but Mandiel will settle underneath it and make the catch for the first out as Rodriguez just got underneath that ball.
Yeah, so Mandiel's been busy. That's his third putout of the game so far. And we have one down here to start the third inning, and Ryan Donnelly will come up to bat. He flied out the last time to Mandiel.
One out, bases empty for the Purple Knights in their half of the third. And the first pitch to Dinelli up and away for ball one.
On deck is Andre Marchesal, the home run hitter in this one, the 2-run blast in the first, and he's been swinging a tremendous bat here to start 2021. So if you're Nick Metzger, you'd love to get Donnelly out here.
No doubt about that. Given the hitting numbers for Marchesal on the season, you definitely want to face him with the bases empty whenever you're given the chance, and an opportunity for Metzger to do that right here. And that one's fouled straight back. Count runs to 2 balls and 1 strike. Here comes the 2-1 pitch, and that misses high for ball 3. So Metzger in danger of issuing another walk.
He only has the 1 strikeout, the 2 bases on balls so far.
He's retired 5 of the last 6 Purple Knights to face him, and a chance here to make it 6 out of 7, but Ulaj circling that ball, couldn't find it, and new life for Donnelly.
Yeah, that played some tricks on Shendi Ulaj. Played some tricks on me too, Joe. At first I thought that was easily going to pull foul into the stands, but that wind is playing tricks on the fielder. Probably a play that Ulaj should have made, but new life here for Donnelly.
3-2 pitch upcoming from Metzger, and that one is ripped down the line, but foul, and once again into the Purple Knights bullpen. It will bounce off of the fence and onto the field of play, and Thomas Joyce will go and retrieve that ball.
Yeah, we see Joyce in right field. Plays a lot of first base, does Thomas Joyce, and the Dolphins are down one of their starting outfielders, Joe. Jack Verone has been down with an injury. Dolphins are hoping to get him back into the order soon. The Dolphins really haven't been 100% since the season started. It's still very, infant stages of the season, obviously, but they only have a roster of 27, and they haven't had a full roster for any one of their first 6 games this year. A lot of small nagging injuries. We've seen some COVID protocols put in place as well. So the Dolphins still waiting to be at full strength.
Here comes another 3-2 pitch, and that one's hit over toward first. Foul ball as Lombardo fields that one just outside the line.
Yeah, Donnelly starting to make a lot of contact now. Seen a lot of pitches here from Metzger, and this has been a pretty good battle here, this at-bat.
One of many battles between pitcher and hitter in this game. We've seen a lot of full counts, a lot of prolonged at-bats. And the 3-2 pitch is off the outside corner for ball 4. So Metzger issues the 1-out walk, and that brings up Andre Marchessault.
Yeah, that was outside the strike zone, but I credit Donnelly for staying off that pitch. That looked pretty meaty coming in, and kept the bat back and gets himself on first base. And, of course, we can't say enough about Andre Marchessault. 2-run homer his first time up. Came into the game batting just about .520 on the season. One of the ECC's best hitters, and get a good view of him again.
That was some shot he hit back in the first inning, as Metzger will pay attention to the runner Donnelly over at first. And I spoke about the scores of those 2 games that these 2 teams played on Saturday, so you have to figure that these Bridgeport hitters got a look at a lot of the Dolphins pitchers across that doubleheader. Metzger not one of them, as his first pitch to Marchessault is in for a called strike 1.
Yeah, and Donnelly got off to a really good start at first base, too. So keep our eye on him as well.
Metzger will take a look over towards first base now as the wind picks up. You see some chalk and dirt blowing around the infield, and Marchessault hits one deep into the right field corner. No chance for Joyce. It one-hops the wall. Coming around third is Donnelly. The relay throw will go to third base on a fly, and Andre Marchessault is standing over at third with an RBI triple.
Yeah, his 3rd RBI of the game, and Bridgeport with their 3rd run of the game. They now draw even at CSI, and pretty effortless swing, Joe. Just kind of offered at it, and next thing you know, it's by the warning track in deep right field. Thomas Joyce had to hightail it, and Marchessault in with a stand-up triple.
I've said it time and time again, just so much room in the outfield here at the CSI Baseball Complex, and obviously no chance for Joyce on that play, but you said it, Dave, an effortless-looking swing by Marchessault as there's an off-balance swing by Anthony Pascal at the first pitch he sees for strike 1, but Marchessault clearly a big threat in the middle of this Purple Knights batting order, and we said it before, you want to face him with the bases empty. Metzger failed to do that, and it cost him a run. As that one is not handled by Cipoletti over at short with the infield drawn in, a tough hop, and it will be a base hit for Anthony Pascal, scoring Marchessault from third, and the Purple Knights are back in front. Our score is 4-3.
Yeah, so after getting the first out of the inning via the fly ball, Metzger getting himself into trouble. First the walk, of course, the triple, and that was the screaming single. Cipoletti had a chance at it, but was playing up in the infield, like you mentioned, right at the lip of the grass, and got past him.
It's a really tough spot to field that ball, especially with a hop like that. As this infield has produced some funky hops early in this game, and that one is ripped foul into the corner out there in left field by Craig Leonard.
Yeah, this is a redone infield here at CSI. After, after the COVID pause, the field kind of deteriorated a bit, and this is a brand new infield, and because of that, it's still pretty loose out there, Joe. So kind of like when you hit it with it's like when the ball hits into it, it's almost like, golfing. When the golf club hits into the infield, you get chunks that come up, and until it settles, it's going to take some nasty hops.
I remember seeing a photo of the baseball complex about a month or two back, shortly after a couple of snowstorms that hit the area, and I could not believe it. It looked like a barren wasteland to me, and how long away the field has come is remarkable, a testament to the work done by the coaches and the building staff and our grounds crew to make this field as playable as it is right now. I couldn't believe the transformation when I saw it today. As that one misses down and away for a ball and runs the count to 1-2.
Yeah, and the Dolphins, of course, have opened up their season against two schools, Malloy and Bridgeport, that play on full synthetic fields. This is the first time they've been on the natural surface, Joe.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch, and that's in on the hands, hit out toward left center field. Castiglione settles underneath it and makes the catch for the second out, and retreating to first will be Pascal.
Yeah, and Metzger's only victim of the strikeout. Steven Giambra comes back into the batter's box now with 2 down. But again, Joe, we mentioned over this weekend, the Dolphins did have a few innings where they did not surrender runs, but they couldn't get back-to-back innings across without giving up runs, and that's held true today. They've given up 2 in the first and now 2 in the third.
0-1 the count on Steven Giambra as Metzger looks to limit the damage to 2 here in the third.
There is no action in CSI's bullpen, so
that one's hit over to first, and making the play easily is Lombardo on the backhand. He steps on the bag for the third out of the inning, but the Purple Knights get back in front in their half of the third. Our score 4-3, heading into the bottom half of inning number 3. Dolphins come to bat when we get back.
Being a champion takes more than talent, more than the perfect pass, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the spirit to always push harder, the ability to overcome any hurdle, and the fire to be the best. Welcome to Division 2, where the pursuit is yours to create. And the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet, now a proud part of the ECC network. Dolphins of the College of Staten Island taking on the University of Bridgeport Purple Knights this afternoon. As I take a look down at my phone, some trade news from the NFL. The Jets have traded Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers for a 2021 6th-round pick and 2nd and 4th-round picks in 2022. That post coming from Adam Schefter on Twitter. So Sam Darnold leaving the New York Jets, and as a Jets fan, or I should say a former Jets fan, not necessarily surprised about that one, as with a new coach and still the same GM, but a new regime probably getting set to come on within the next couple of years, the Jets moving on from their first-round pick at quarterback.
Yeah, and the NFL draft is later this month. It's always a big day for professional football, obviously, just as big as any other regular season games or playoff games, it seems. And, I was reading a stat somewhere, Joe, that, there was so many first-round quarterbacks that were dealt, recently. I forget the list, but only I think I forget who it was. It was only one quarterback who was drafted in the first round the last, between the last 4 and 8 years that are still on their original teams. And Sam Darnold gets added to that list for the Jets.
Well, that trade brings me one step closer to returning into my season tickets in MetLife Stadium. So we'll see what other moves the Jets make, as I've hopped on the Oakland Raiders, or I should say the Las Vegas Raiders bandwagon for now. Some fan I am. As Peter Lombardo steps into the box for the Dolphins in the bottom half of the third. Dolphins trailing by a run after a 2-spot by the Purple Knights in the top half. And Lombardo quickly behind in the count 0-2.
Lombardo got CSI's first hit of the game after a pair of walks that were issued to start the bottom of half of the first. He got an RBI single.
And that's down and away for a ball. I'm not sure if it's coming over the mic, but they're trying to sort out the scoreboard down the hall, and it's not helping me out at all.
I think we got a 2-1 count, and now a 2-2 count to Lombardo.
Well, they're working on it, and there it is.
There we go. Nope. I don't know if it's 2-2.
I was right.
It's 3-1?
It's 1-2.
It's 1-2. Okay.
It's 1-2. The scoreboard always playing tricks on me, the operator down the hall.
Yeah, it gets tough sometimes because in defense of our scorekeeper, we're pretty high up. We're about 30, 40 feet behind the backstop.
And that breaking ball is in for a called strike 3 as Lombardo goes down looking for the first out. But on the topic of the count and it being difficult to get, there's no doubt about that. As I bring it up at least once a year, we're going to bring it up right now. What happened last time we asked the umpire for the count?
Yeah, I think we one of our former workers, I think, got tossed out of a softball game for asking for a count once.
Sure did. Sure did. As that one is fouled back for strike 1 by Thomas Joyce.
Yeah, we've seen umpires who are not as vocal sometimes when calling balls and strikes, or sometimes their calls look very similar, balls or strikes. But our umpire today has been pretty distinct with his calls, so we'll give him that.
Absolutely. As the count is 1-1, and that's ripped foul by Joyce just outside of first base. Count now 1-2. I'll never forget one of the very first softball games I worked being right behind home plate and the umpire doing a called third strike dance about halfway
I remember
down
that.
the third base line. There was one problem. It was strike 2.
Yeah.
Strike 2, and that was the first impression I got of the umpiring, and it wasn't a good one as I was cracking up.
I remember that. We were trying to hold our laughter a little bit for that one, but it was like shades of the Naked Gun movie when Leslie Nielsen was calling the balls and strikes back there.
2 balls and 2 strikes, the count right here as that's chopped foul by Joyce and running it out, as you like to see that, in case the ball rolls back fair.
Yeah, Joyce has got a good gait too, so when he gets out of that batter's box, he can get to first base pretty quickly. He was going to lug that one out. Instead, he's got an even count to look at, trying to give the Dolphins a start here with 1 out in the bottom of the third. They scored all 3 of their runs in the bottom half of the first inning, and Joyce had himself an RBI ground out in that inning.
And that one's chopped foul once again outside of first base. But we mentioned it before, Joyce out in right field today, and he stands 6'6", left-hander, just looks like a first baseman, and not someone you picture being out there in right field on a regular basis. And I'm fairly certain he was playing first base during the Dolphins games last year as well. As that's hit well out to right field, chasing it back is Giambro, looking up, and that ball is gone. As Thomas Joyce has tied the game, he delivers a solo shot with the 1 away in the bottom half of the third inning, and our score is now tied at 4.
And with 1 swing of the bat, the score is tied, as Joe mentioned. And again, with that wind blowing directly from left to right, definitely helped the cause. But Joyce got a lot of aluminum on that one, and with plenty of room to spare, Joe, it's 4-4.
Well, I have to admit, off the bat, I thought he got under it a bit, and that ball just kept carrying. As you said, the wind may have helped it out just a bit, but Giambra looking up and watching that one drop out onto the grass out there above the stone wall beyond the right field wall. So that ball was hit pretty well, as that one's taken off the outside corner by Thomas Martin for ball 1.
Yeah, Martin's a true freshman for CSI. Dolphins have a lot of high hopes for him, as evidenced being right in the heart of the order here. But he, too, had to come back slowly after he was grounded for a bit.
And he looks at the 1-1 pitch inside for ball 2. Martin reached on an error in his previous at-bat. Officially 0 for 1. Here comes the 2-1 pitch from Giambra, and that one is fouled straight back.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the offense, Saturday's doubleheader did not disappoint you. There was a lot of runs to be scored. There was a lot of back and forth action, both teams responding to one another, and same is true so far through 2 1/3 here at CSI.
And the 2-2 pitch is ripped out to left center field. Ranging to his left and making the catch is Justin Nairady for the second out of the inning.
And that one was struck well by Martin. It was a lined shot, but Nairady was tracked it really well, had a good beat on it, and made the play pretty easily. And Shendi Ulaj, who's been swinging the hot bat for CSI, back at the plate for his second turn.
Ulaj with a long double back in the first inning. And he takes a called strike 1 here.
Yeah, RBI on that double, too, for Ulaj, his 8th of the season, all against the University of Bridgeport.
And the 0-1 pitch is on the outside corner for a called strike 2. And surprisingly, RBI is the one thing that this digital scoring app is not tracking.
Oh, that's big, Joe.
I know. I was looking to see how many runs he drove in on that double. I was fairly certain it was 1. You beat me to it. But I don't have that information in front of me as that misses high for a ball. It's got to be somewhere. We'll find it later. Oh, here it is. There's a very detailed look. Not sure I could find it if I wanted to in all those numbers.
I'm still old school, Joe. I got the paper and the pen. That works for me.
Yeah, after our softball doubleheader with the papers blowing around and
that's a good point.
All of the chaos that ensued as I was chasing those around the bleachers. You were chasing some around the bleachers. I decided to go digital. And so far, it hasn't disappointed me. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. The count on Ulaj, and everyone in the field for Bridgeport was headed back toward the dugout. Ulaj taking a long look back at all of the Purple Knights. He was just staring out into center field, it appeared, but they'll have to head back as the count's full.
It's a payoff for one end, either the pitcher or the batter here on this one.
And the 3-2 pitch is in for a called strike 3, and Dave did not agree. No. Shendi did not agree, but perhaps a makeup call, just saying. As we are now tied at 4, Dave Pizzuto will take over the call of innings 4, 5, and 6 when we come back here on CSI Sportsnet, now a proud part of the ECC Network.
In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
They should just leave the zeros blank. Welcome back here to the CSI Baseball Complex. The College of Staten Island getting even in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. So we have a tie score, 4-4 through 3, and we're getting ready for the 4th inning of play. Nick Metzger continues to be the hurler for the Dolphins, and he will face batters 8, 9, and 1 here in the top half of the 4th for the Purple Knights.
Well, you said it in the previous half inning, Dave. If you're a fan of offense, you came to the right place. 8 runs up on the scoreboard through the first 3 innings between these two teams. And not often we see 2 home runs hit in one game, but we've seen that today as well. 1 to straightaway right by Thomas Joyce in the previous half inning. Andre Marchesal sent one over the left center field wall for the Purple Knights in their half of the first. So plenty of offense to go around for both sides in this one to this point.
Yep, and Dolphins will pitch to the bottom half of the inning, but it was Justin Nairady that gave Bridgeport a start in the bottom of the 2nd inning with 2 outs. Other than that, Jacob Rich grounded out his first time up, and he'll be the one to come to the plate now. Rich, the designated hitter in this game.
Well, command issues have been the biggest issue for Nick Metzger thus far. That's really set the table for the Purple Knights in both of their innings where they scored a pair of runs back in the first and in the previous inning in the 3rd.
So Metzger, the right-hander, will deal, and that one is cut on and hit into the outfield. Joyce backing up, but he will have to go all the way back to the wall as that shot screams to the warning track and coming in to third base. Cutoff mishandled by Iacono, but Jacob Rich with a leadoff triple here to start the fourth inning.
I was a bit surprised when Rich took the turnaround second on that one. If the cutoff was handled cleanly, we might have had a play over at third base. As it appeared, Rich was running out of steam a bit on his way over to third base, but that cutoff throw was bobbled, and that eliminated any chance of retiring Rich as he is in with a triple to get things started here in the fourth.
And that brings up Nairati, who singled his first time up. And he bounces that one to short. They go home with the play. Trancucci applies the tag for the out at the plate.
And what a play by Nick Cipoletti to come home with that ball. I thought initially there was no shot they had to play at the plate. Perhaps Rich thought the same thing, as his dugout had to tell him at the last moment to slide, but by then it was too late as Trancucci applies the tag to record a big first out.
Yeah, great job by Cipoletti to track that grounder. The base umpire had to skirt out of the way, and Cipoletti followed it up, made a great throw, and great job by Trancucci to apply the tag as well. That was not an easy play. Does put Nairati at first base. Takes a decent lead as Metzger deals a strike. Roberts is the batter. He grounded out twice to short. Cipoletti making the play both times. Metzger, a long look over his shoulder, and now will step off the rubber and we'll restart. We haven't had a stolen base yet in this game. Metzger deals in the dirt. Trancucci does well to get in front of it. Count will go to 1-1.
Mentioned it back in the first inning before you came into the booth, Dave, but the Purple Knights 11 of 14 in stolen bases on the season. I took a look at some of my notes. Dolphins haven't attempted a stolen base yet this season.
That's interesting. Through 5 games.
Opponents 14 of 19 stealing against them.
Well, they got off to a big head start, that's for sure. Right down the middle for a call strike 2. 1-2 the count now to Connell Roberts. Metzger delivers and cut on and missed for strike 3. Roberts got just a piece of that, but it ends up into the glove of Trancucci, and there are 2 away.
And that will be Metzger's second strikeout of the game, the first of a swinging variety. As with 2 away now and a runner on first, it will be Matt Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rodriguez with his third at-bat. He walked and scored in the first. Check back to first, not in time. As the check-in on Nairati, Rodriguez flied out his last time up to left field. Dolphins trying to score their second scoreless inning defensively in this one. Metzger deals. That one is cut on, hit straight in the air, but that will trail out of play down the first base line.
It's good to see Nick Metzger pitching from ahead in the count a bit more here in this inning. That's something that really hurt him both in the first and in the third. And if he could get his command issues under control, might be able to prolong this outing a bit. This next pitch for Metzger will be number 63. 39 strikes and 23 balls thus far.
And that one is strung out down the line, but that will trail foul. Metzger now way ahead in the count.
Trying to get a look at who's the unfortunate Dolphins pitcher that will have to chase that one. But
well, it was Esposito for that last one, and not sure who that is. Maybe that's Ryan.
No number on the hat. Sometimes in the back of the hat we have a number. Not in this case. It'll be a long walk down into that right field corner.
Right. As Joe mentioned before, this one is a schedule for a single 9-inning game, and that's what they do in the ECC. The single games, 9 innings. The doubles go 9 and 7. It just means a lot of work, usually crammed into 2 days, Fridays and Saturdays. Dolphins were supposed to play this series on Thursday and Saturday, but Thursday's game got washed away. They played it as a double on Saturday. Runner goes, Nairati off. The throw in time, and cutting it down was Trancucci. Iacono applies the tag, and we are down here in the top half of the fourth inning. Still a tie score. The Dolphins coming to bat after this.
My dad was a soccer coach and bought this little book bag. I could sit in the book bag like facing backwards and look like my legs out. So I'd be in his book bag when my dad coaches and the ball's going around. I'm like kicking at the ball in the back. And my dad was like, "We have a prodigy." So he put me into soccer and it just progressed from there. The catalyst was the opportunity to play soccer at a Division II school. On my team, I thrive to work as hard as I can. I mean, whatever you do on the field, there's a positive correlation to whatever else you do, be it personal relationships, homework, the way you carry yourself. I've changed since I got to King University. It's really helped me to develop as a leader. I think it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened.
We are back here, CSI Baseball Complex, getting set for the bottom half of the fourth inning. And the Dolphins will be facing a new pitcher. William Saccone will come in. The junior right-hander has come in to replace Jason Giambra. Giambra goes 3 full innings, gives up 4 runs on 3 hits.
The final line for Giambra, as you said, Dave, 3 innings. Giving up those 3 hits. He allowed 4 runs. All of those were earned. He walked a pair and struck out 2.
And he will face 7, 8, 9 in the order for the Dolphins. Sal Trancucci, who made a couple of big plays in the top half of the fourth. A big tag applied at home plate to get the first out. And then able to get the Nairati trying to steal. So big defensive inning for him. Long talk now between Pascal and Saccone.
We've seen it in the past. Back in 2019, Trancucci, one of the Dolphins players returning from that team 2 years ago that our fans on Sportsnet are familiar with, and he has a cannon behind the plate. Also got a lot of work during that postseason push as a pitcher. And I'm not even going to take a look at where that ball may have landed.
I'll tell you, it landed just in front of a lime green sports car. I think that might be Marco's in the other room. That was close. That one ends up high, so the count evens at 1-1 to Trancucci. Trancucci flied out foul to first base his first time up. And that one is low and outside. The delivery and swung on, and that's hit sharply into right center field. It will drop down right in front of the warning track. Seeing it to the base of the wall is Giambra. He throws in, but that's a stand-up double for Sal Trancucci, the fourth, and the Dolphins are in business here in the bottom half of the fourth inning.
And that energizes the CSI dugout, as we've heard a lot of noise coming from that home dugout to our left in this game. Dolphins with already 4 runs on the scoreboard through the first 3 innings, looking for more here in the bottom half of the fourth. And with a chance to drive in Trancucci from second is Julian Iacono.
Iacono grounded out to first his first time up. Trancucci's double, CSI's 4th hit of the ball game. Iacono laying down a bunt. It's a good one down the third base line. The throw to first base is in time. Nice play by Pascal to wave off Saccone, but the sacrifice done successfully as Trancucci heads over to third.
Another nice play from behind the plate. This time for the Purple Knights, we saw Trancucci with a pair of big plays in the top half of the inning, and right there, Pascal playing that bunt perfectly and throwing a strike over to first base to retire Iacono.
Yeah, a lot of poise by Pascal on that play. First to call off Saccone, then to track it, and then to get a nice clean throw over to, I believe it was Leonard, who was covering first base, the second baseman. Cipoletti hits one sharply into the hole, into center field. An RBI single for Nick Cipoletti, and the Dolphins, for the second time in the game, have themselves a one-run lead. It's 5-4.
A big day for Nick Cipoletti. Continues several key plays out in the field already, including keeping this game tied in the previous half inning, coming home with that ground ball hit to him. And right here, he gives the Dolphins the lead with that RBI single. 5-4 Dolphins.
Well, the Dolphins up 5-4 on their fifth hit of the game. And that brings up the top of the order, Louis Mandiel. Mandiel officially 0 for 1 with a run scored. He walked and scored his first time up in the bottom half of the first. Flight out to center his second time up. Quick check on Cipoletti at first was unsuccessful. Cipoletti goes, and no throw by Pascal as he did not field that in the glove cleanly. I believe that was a ball issued to Mandiel, and now the Dolphins have another runner in scoring position with Cipoletti now at second base. And, Joe, first stolen base of the season.
There it is. Took the words right out of my mouth, Dave, as Cipoletti now swipes a bag following his RBI base hit. Dolphins looking to manufacture another run here in their half of the fourth.
Saccone deals, and that one is cut on and fouled straight back. So CSI for the second time with the lead in the game. They took a 3-2 lead after the first inning. Saccone now the pitcher of record for Bridgeport.
What I didn't mention before is that not many teams run on the Purple Knights. Only 6 attempted stolen bases against them on the season. 3 have been successful. Now 4 out of 7 following that Cipoletti steal of second base.
And prior to this series, Bridgeport facing Queens College in a 3-game set. Inside corner strike 2 on Mandiel.
Those games looked very different from the 3 games between these two teams, Dave. Not many runs scored by either side. I think the largest run total scored by either the Knights or the Purple Knights, battle of the Knights in that 3-game set. I think the most runs either team scored was 4.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Swung on and missed by Mandiel, so Saccone gets his first strikeout of the game. 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth.
Strikeouts have been tough to come by in this one for both teams. That one, the third of the game for Purple Knights pitching.
So Castiglione with a runner at second base now. He is officially 0 for 1. He grounded out his last time up, walked and scored back in the first. Asks for time, gets it, as Cipoletti scampers back to second. Saccone, long look at Cipoletti, and that one is hit, and it will find the gap in right center. Fielding it cleanly was Giambra. No play at home as an RBI single for Dominic Castiglione. His first hit of the game, and the Dolphins are now up 6-4.
Clutch 2-out hitting there by Dominic Castiglione. He has been a fixture in this Dolphins lineup now for a couple of seasons dating back to 2019 and comes through big in his return to the CSI lineup right there as he gives CSI a 2-run lead.
And so Lombardo now the number 3 hitter comes up to bat. He's 1 for 2 on the afternoon. Makes that stolen base by Cipoletti so much larger as it was able to score him from second. That hit by Castiglione did not have enough to get Cipoletti in from first base, so makes that first stolen base of the season so much more important, as we'll see a 1-0 pitch here to Lombardo. Castiglione with a 4-step lead, and now Lombardo offers it this one down the right field line. Will it stay fair? No, it will not. Pulls foul, and the count will go to 1-2 on Peter Lombardo.
It's no coincidence that a lot of baseballs are finding their way into the right center field gap, the wind blowing in that direction. But that's not to take away from how hard these two teams have hit the ball to this point in the game. Several very good swings by both sides, hard hit line drives into the outfield time and time again.
Lombardo hoping to add to that. And that one cuts in 2 inside, so the count, I believe, is 2-2. Scoreboard has it at 2-1.
I also have 2-1, so
all right.
You might be wrong this time. We're not usually wrong here in the commentary booth. Guess we'll find out.
And timeout is called. No, I'm wrong plenty of times, Joe, so I'm not surprised if I'm wrong about this one. Lombardo 1 for 2. He does have an RBI in the game. That was back in the first inning. Advanced on an error. Ended up scoring in that first. And that one is swung on and hit in the air towards right field. Having to give a long run at it was Leonard, the second baseman, and Giambra, the right fielder, but it does find foul territory. And just missing a blooper was Lombardo.
The count now 2-2. And I'm often wrong too, Dave, but it's not often I find myself on camera admitting it.
Right. See, I don't have the fancy, the fancy digital stuff you have. See, paper and pen fails me sometimes.
I was out there with the paper and pen the other day. It just wasn't working for me.
Right.
Had to find a better way, and I think I have it right now. And got to say, I love this power tower in front of me, too.
Yeah. Well, that's yours. And, what I love, Joe, is more than anything is the press box.
That's a great point.
And there is one that is going to find some real estate once again in right center field. Castiglione heading into third. He'll get there easily. He takes a big round, and he is going to go home. Great throw over to home plate, and out is Castiglione. So Lombardo scores himself the single, and trying to extend was Castiglione, called out at the plate, but not before the Dolphins score 2 runs in the inning and take a 6-4 lead after 4. Stay with us. More CSI Baseball coming up next.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
And we are back from the College of Staten Island. Dave will rejoin me in the booth in just a moment. Joe Foreman here with you from the College of Staten Island alongside David Pizzuto with the call of Purple Knights Dolphins in this East Coast Conference Division II baseball matchup. And here comes Dave re-entering the commentary booth. A little bit of noise behind me as the door slides open and close. But Dave, take it away.
Yeah, so that was a nice play to end that threat for the Dolphins, the Purple Knights, getting the put out at home plate. A nice throw by Leonard into Pascal, all started by Donnelly, the center fielder. But the Dolphins do score the 2 runs. They've now worked their way up to 7 hits in the game. And, Joe, we're in that position again where the Dolphins have given up runs. They've held their opponent to 0. They've given up runs. They've held their opponent to 0. Can they get a second straight inning without yielding a run? It's been tough for them to do that so far to start 2021, but Metzger in his 5th inning of work will look to do just that. And once again, CSI with the lead for the second time in the ballgame. And that one is skied into right field, and having to give chase is Joyce. He backs up. That one hits the lip of the wall, and rounding second but holding there will be Rodriguez, and a leadoff double for the Purple Knights.
And there has been no shortage of excitement thus far in this game. These two teams launching the ball into the outfield, several line drives. That one hops the wall, a deep fly ball into the right field corner, a couple of plays at the plate already. Really nothing missing from this game to this point as the Dolphins in their home debut as a member of the East Coast Conference putting on a show right now here at the CSI Baseball Complex.
I'll tell you what, if Matt Rodriguez got a little bit more air under that one could have tailed out of here as well. That didn't miss by much. As it'll bring up Ryan Donnelly, who is officially 0 for 1 with a walk in the game, and takes the first pitch low and outside for ball 1.
A Made the rookie mistake of underestimating the wind multiple times. I didn't think that ball was hit anywhere near as well as it was onto the warning track. Rookie mistake.
Yeah, it took a one-hopper right at the wall. There's one that comes inside on Donnelly, but that one can't catch the strike zone, so 2-0 will be the count. Donnelly, the number 3 hitter, flied out to left his first time up, walked and was stranded. Back in the 3rd inning, when the Purple Knights scored 2 runs. Outside and low for ball 3, so a 3-0 count upcoming for Ryan Donnelly. First base is open with Rodriguez, the leadoff double, at second base.
And look who's looming in the on-deck circle, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. And that one is just high, so a 4-pitch walk issued to Donnelly by Metzger, and now with 2 runners on, it looks like CSI pitching coach Pat Daddio will have a talk here with Metzger on how to go about facing Andre Marchessault.
Good luck.
Yeah. Marchessault 2 for 2, a home run and a triple, 3 RBIs. He's obviously scored on the homer and ended up scoring in that 2-run 3rd inning. And he is 1 swing away from potentially giving his team a lead. 2 runners on base. Marchessault has been hurting everybody so far, Queens and the College of Staten Island, to start 2021.
How valuable would that open first base have been with 1 away?
Oh, yeah.
Now 2 on. That occupied base doesn't allow you to put Marchessault on in a worst-case scenario if you fall behind in the count.
Right. Sorry, I got confused there for a second, Joe, with what the home plate umpire was saying. But what he was saying was it was first visit. He kept holding the number 1 finger up. I thought maybe there was an out in the inning that I may have missed. But
you looked befuddled over there.
Yeah.
I was trying to help you out, but I wasn't sure what the confusion was about.
That one is swung on in line to the left side, but foul on a rope. Long strike.
That almost took out Frank Golkel. That one missed him by less than a foot out there in the Dolphins bullpen. He had a dance out of danger. And it's unfortunate we can't share my iPad screen. I did bring the device to share it too, but we're not in the same room as our engineer. And to just take a look at this spray chart, it tells the story that I'd like to share with the viewers. But unfortunately, we don't have that capability yet. Might get there, though.
We're working on it. Low and out, low and inside for ball 1, so the count goes even. Marchessault came into this one batting .519, and obviously that batting average continues to climb. And that one is hit sharply towards third base, and stepping on third is Ulaj. The throw to first is too high for Lombardo. And scampering over to third base will be Donnelly. Safe at first, obviously, is Marchessault. So the Dolphins do get the leadoff runner out on the play, but they're unable to turn 2.
I'll talk about testing my digital score capabilities once again, as that one is off the glove of the first baseman Lombardo. The throw a bit high, so the error will have to go on Ulaj over at third. And that's a big out off of the scoreboard now, as the Purple Knights with only 1 away and a runner over there at third, still trailing by 2.
Yep, and you can't assume the double play, but of course Ulaj with the error, because it allows the runner to go all the way to third base. That one down low, issued to Pascal for ball 1. So runners are at the corners now. Rodriguez was erased. And with 1 out, Donnelly at third, Marchessault on the fielder's choice at first. And that one is hit towards short. Cipolletti steps on second. The throw to first is in time for the 6-3 double play. The Dolphins avoid disaster when they put 2 runners on base with nobody out. They escape the top half of the 5th. Your score, the Dolphins 6 and Bridgeport 4. Bottom of the 5th coming up.
My dad was a soccer coach and bought this little book bag. And I could sit in the book bag, like facing backwards and look like my legs out. So I'd be in his book bag when my dad coaches and the ball's going around. I'm like kicking at the ball in the back. And my dad was like, "We have a prodigy." So he put me into soccer and it just progressed from there. The catalyst was the opportunity to play soccer at a Division II school. On my team, I thrive to work as hard as I can. I mean, whatever you do on the field, there's a positive correlation to whatever else you do, be it personal relationships, homework, the way you carry yourself. I've changed since I got to King University. It's really helped me to develop as a leader. I think it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened.
Welcome back here to the CSI Baseball Complex. The College of Staten Island Dolphins leading the Bridgeport Purple Knights by a score of 6-4. 3 runs in the bottom half of the first, 1 in the bottom half of the third, and 2 more in the bottom half of the fourth against Saccone, who comes out for his second inning of work here for Bridgeport.
And for the Dolphins, wrapping up that last half inning, a tailor-made double play. And once again, it's Nick Cipolletti right in the middle of it, a sharply hit ground ball. He takes it himself to second, steps on the bag, and his throw over to first in with plenty of time. And that inning looked to be very threatening early on for the Purple Knights, trying to get back even in this game as they trail by 2, but strong pitching and defense from the Dolphins, getting them out of that half inning unscathed.
Middle of the order for the Dolphins coming up here in the bottom half of the fifth. Joyce, Martin, and Ulaj. Thomas Joyce, of course, had that lined shot home run to right field his last time up. Hit the grassy hill over in right field. And that one is lined towards the right side, tracking it well. The throw over is wide of the pitcher, Saccone, by Marchesal. Believe that'll be an E3 on the play. And Thomas Joyce is at first base via the error.
Well, I agree with you there, Dave. E3, and I think Marchesal would have been wise to take a little bit more time making that throw. And if he had allowed his pitcher to get to the bag first, set his feet, and made that throw balanced, they had Joyce out at first, perhaps a little bit more time than he thought. And the rush throw puts Joyce on to lead off the Dolphins half of the fifth.
So that brings up Thomas Martin now, who checks swings at a pitch in the dirt. Martin officially 0 for 2. He reached on an error back in the first inning and then lined out to left field back in the third. Saccone deals, and that one hits the strike zone to even the count at 1-1. Dolphins have scored in every inning but the second in this one. And that one is too low and outside for Martin, so he'll see a 2-1 pitch upcoming. Dolphins have had 2 separate leads in this game. They led 3-2 after 1, fell behind 4-3, and have reclaimed the lead 6-4. Saccone with a quick check of Joyce at first. Now delivers, and that one is straight back near us in the stands. The count evens at 2-2.
That line drive hit by Martin when he was retired in his last at-bat was hit very well. Just couldn't find any open space out there in left field. One of the few hitters in this game who hasn't been able to find some open real estate in the outfield.
Ooh, and that one inside, and it does catch a piece of Martin's leg, and he gets first base. And Joyce moves over to second now. So with nobody out, the Knights defensively in the same predicament that the Dolphins were in the top half of the fifth. 2 on, nobody out, and now Shendi Ulaj coming in. Ulaj, if you remember, back in the first inning, that strong RBI double. He did strike out looking his last time up. He was the last batter that the starter, Jason Giambra, faced in this game.
Purple Knights, as you said, facing the same situation as the Dolphins in the previous half inning, and you can be sure they're hoping for similar results as they're trailing on the scoreboard by 2. Dolphins had the comfort of playing with the lead, and Wouldn't be surprised to see the infield come all the way in if the Dolphins get a runner over to third.
That one too low for an opening ball here in this count.
Ulaj also took that questionable called strike 3 in his last at-bat down at the knees after the entire Purple Knights defensive alignment was leaving the field on the previous pitch.
Right. Saccone delivers, and that hits the strike zone. So now it's a 1-1 count. Dolphins with 6 runs on 7 hits. Ulaj has 1 of them. The pitcher, William Saccone, this is his second inning of work. He did yield the 2 go-ahead runs by the Dolphins in the bottom half of the 4th. Takes his time. Now sets, delivers, and well outside the strike zone. Pascal doing well to trace that one out. 2-1.
That's been a constant theme in this game. Pitchers taking their time out on the mound. A lot of long looks in, close attention paid to the runners. Dolphins bullpen has quieted, but that is not the case in the Purple Knights bullpen, as that's Tyler Solomon throwing out there in right field.
Here's the delivery, and that one is swung on and hit in foul territory. It will track foul as it goes just beyond the dugout. Count evens at 2-2.
Fortunate there for the Purple Knights as Ulaj chased well out of the strike zone on that pitch. Could have been ahead in the count, 3-1.
Trancucci on deck in his last at-bat against Saccone. His first batter, he doubled and later scored last inning. Here's the pitch. Swung on and hit towards the right side. That'll find the outfield. Runners will hold. Joyce will hold at third. And now the bases are loaded. Nobody out. A 2-strike single by Shendi Ulaj, his second hit of the game. And the Dolphins have loaded the bases here with nobody out.
Well, Joyce took a big turn there, and fortunately so that he was held by head coach Mike Morrow over there coaching third base, as he would have been dead to rights at the plate. And that gives the first Dolphins hitter to see Saccone twice, Salvatore Trancucci, a chance with the bases loaded and nobody out. And as I suspected, Dave, the infield moves in all around.
Yeah, Trancucci smoked a double to right center field his last time up against Saccone. He ended up scoring in the inning. Right now represents the go-ahead run for CSI. And we're going to have a mound visit here from the University of Bridgeport.
We'll see if that yields a pitching change. Not often you see it after one pitch is thrown in and at bat, but we've seen crazier things here at the CSI Baseball Complex.
Yeah, usually the head coach is the one who makes the substitution, and I don't believe that is their head coach, Joe.
The assistant coaches are Shane Carpenter and Ray Guarino, and then the head coach is Joe Tonelli in his 9th season at the helm for the Purple Knights.
Should mention this is the first ever meeting between these two teams at the College of Staten Island. The weekend doubleheader was the first time that these two teams have ever met before. Same thing the weekend before when CSI faced Malloy. So a lot of new folks and coaches and players to get acclimated to and accustomed to seeing here at the College of Staten Island. So that one is delivered low to Trancucci. No place to put Trancucci, so 2-0 count he will see.
Got to think that they're going to turn him loose here on 2-0 if anything's close to the strike zone.
Joe. Joyce is at third, having reached via error. Martin on via the hit by pitch. And, of course, the single by Ulaj to load the bases. That's what got Saccone into this predicament.
What I was thinking was after that swing he put on Saccone in his last at-bat, second time seeing him, if the pitch is close, I think he has the green light.
Swung on and missed for strike one. And the count will go to 2-1, so Saccone needed that big strike. Wind is starting to blow a little bit more in now, Joe, from left to right. Swung on and hit sharply in the air. It is falling, and it will fall in front of the center fielder. The play at the plate. Tag is not applied, and Joyce gets around the tag, and that was really close. It wasn't hit too far out. Donnelly let it skip in front of him, played it clean. They had a play at the plate, Joe, but not in time.
Well, off the bat, I wasn't sure if that was a deke attempt in center field by Donnelly. I knew that ball was falling off the bat. Donnelly sold it pretty well that he had a chance to catch it. All of the runners held, which would have, of course, been his intention. And then we had yet another play at the plate right there. And I'm not sure if Pascal remembered he could step on home plate. I'm not sure if he was close enough as the plate was obstructed by a bit of dirt. I couldn't see exactly where it was, but he went for the barehanded tag after catching the ball in his left hand in the glove, tried to tag out the runner Joyce with his right hand, and ended up dropping the ball. So the run ultimately comes home, but a very unusual play.
Yeah, Dolphins with their biggest lead now, 3 runs at 7-4. And seeing that one through for a strike was Julian Iacono. Iacono officially 0 for 1 in the ball game. He grounded out to first, and then he sacrificed Trancucci over to third last inning. Bases are still loaded. Nobody out here for the Dolphins in the bottom of the 5th inning. And that one's outside for a ball, 1-1. I believe you said that was Solomon out there and warming up. He's still warming up for the Purple Knights off of your screen.
He's certainly warm at this point. He's been throwing out there for a while.
Well outside is the pitch from Saccone, so now the count goes to 2-1. Iacono might see something juicy here.
Next pitch will be number 34 for Saccone.
Back-to-back hits for the Dolphins after a Joyce reaching via error and then a hit by pitch issued by Saccone. And that one's down low for ball 3. Big pitch here for Saccone. No place to put Iacono. Trying to keep the Dolphins at bay here, down by 3. Infield is in. Here's the pitch. Dead red for a strike. And the count will be full at 3-2.
This pitch could be a pivotal point in the game right here, especially for the Purple Knights, trailing by 3 runs already. A walk here increases the deficit to 4. A hit could put them behind even more than that, and a first out would be huge.
Check over to third. Safe there is Martin. Nice move that time by Saccone. But Martin was up to the task, got dirty on that one to get back. Again, set for the 3-2 on Iacono. He swings and hits one sharply right through the middle of the infield. 1 run will score. Coming in to score a second run will be the Dolphins as Ulaj gets home. It's a 2-run single for Julian Iacono, and the Dolphins lead 9-4.
Dolphins continuing to get solid hitting with runners in scoring position throughout this game, have come up with big hit after big hit, and it's Iacono delivering 2 more runs right there, and the Dolphins now are on the verge of breaking this one open. They lead by 5, and that will prompt a pitching change.
And so we will go to break as we welcome in another pitcher here for Bridgeport. Saccone's day is done. The Dolphins are up 9-4 here, bottom of the 5th inning. Stay with us.
You can stop to make sure someone is okay.
Get in the way and disrupt the situation.
Notify an authority.
Or walk them home safely.
We can change the language around rape.
We can make campuses safer for our teammates, our friends, and our classmates.
We cannot be bystanders.
Taking action isn't always easy, but it's on us
to intervene.
Because we can. Learn more and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Hawks.
Welcome back here to the CSI Baseball Complex. Our relief pitcher is Tyler Solomon, the right-handed sophomore for Bridgeport. And he will face Nick Cipoletti when he ends his turn warming up on the mound. But not a great line for William Saccone, Joe, who came in the 4th, yielded the 2 go-ahead runs for the Dolphins, and without registering an out, and with 2 runners left on base, Bridgeport now down by 5 here in the bottom half of the 5th.
Well, I was going to open with the season numbers for Solomon, Dave, but there are none. This is a season debut, his first action on the mound for the University of Bridgeport. So I'll go to the numbers for Saccone. And as you said, they were not good. He faced 11 batters in his 1 inning pitched. He allowed 5 runs. 4 of those were earned. He allowed 7 base hits and struck out 1. Also hit a batter. So not a good outing for Saccone, and he is relieved by Solomon making his 2021 season debut as a pitcher.
Yeah, and Saccone is responsible, obviously, for the runners at both first and second, as he yielded 3 straight singles after the inning opening error and the hit by pitch. Ulaj, Trancucci, and Iacono all reaching via the base hit in different ways. And that'll bring up Nick Cipoletti, who singled right through the middle of the infield for an RBI and then stole a base and scored a run when the Dolphins took their 6-4 lead just 1 inning ago.
Cipoletti is a huge reason why the Dolphins find themselves ahead 5 runs right now. Strong play in the field, a big hit at the plate, looking for another big RBI knock right here.
And that one is bunted straight up in the air. Giving it a good run was Pascal, but that is well foul.
Interesting to see the Dolphins having Cipoletti bunt, the way they've been swinging the bats in this half inning. But as I mentioned before, Cipoletti came in hitting shy of 150 on the season, so perhaps trying to turn his speed into a bunt single that doubles as a sacrifice.
Yeah, Marchesal is well on the grass at first base. Now creeping up is the third baseman Roberts as well, and it is going to be bunted to Roberts. Roberts goes to first with the play. Sacrifice successful for Nick Cipoletti. He moves Trancucci over to third and Iacono over to second.
That's exactly how the Dolphins drew it up right there. Cipoletti lays down the sacrifice, putting 2 in scoring position. For the top of the order, it's Louis Mandil stepping into the box for the Dolphins.
Yeah, Mandil has been hitting the ball very well for the Dolphins, but has not registered a hit today. He has been on base once with the walk back in the first inning. Came in to score, but he's flied out to center and then struck out his last time up against Saccone. This is the 3rd different pitcher that Mandil has faced. And takes well high for ball 1 to start this one off. Dolphins in this inning with 3 base hits. They reached 1 on an error, had a hit by pitch. They've sacrificed. A little bit of everything sprinkled in. Mandil, the 7th batter of the inning for the Dolphins. He takes well outside and high for ball 2.
Unless you came here in search of a pitcher's duel, you've gotten just about everything you could have asked for from this game to this point. And the Purple Knights are certainly not out of this one yet. As we've seen the way they can score, the Dolphins would be wise to keep their foot on the gas and try and extend this lead.
That one might have caught a little bit of the dirt coming in, but 3-0 the count for Mandil. His first season as a Dolphins came in by way of transfer. He's an academic senior this year, but is hoping to come back next year as a grad student as well. Mandil taking all the way there for a high strike, 3-1. The runners on base are Trancucci and Iacono. They remain Saccone's responsibility. And that's a deep swing by Mandil, but swung right through it on the high fastball from Solomon, who gets it now back to a full count, 3-2. On deck is Dominic Castiglione, who after a 3-game break had his first base hit his last time up. Here's the pitch, swung on and hit sharply towards third base, and now caught in a rundown between home and third is Trancucci. The throw to third, coming in at home, and Marchand is able to tag Trancucci out via the fielder's choice. So fielder's choice ground out. And that's the second out.
Well, another unusual play in this game, Dave, as we heard Mike Morrow quieting his bench down, or might have even been his on-deck batter. Either way, Mandil winds up on second base as Trancucci was caught in that rundown. So the Dolphins end up in the same position they were just in with 1 away. Or that would make 2 outs, I believe. The scoreboard still reads 1, so it's 2 outs.
Yep.
Still 2 in scoring position. And Dominic Castiglione is the batter. I'm going to try and put that play in here, perhaps with some great difficulty.
Well, I have it 5-2-6-3, fielder's choice. Trancucci out at home. Runners advance, and the first pitch is low for a ball to Castiglione. So like you mentioned, Joe, Castiglione in the same position that Mendiel was in, except Mendiel is now at second. And Iacono is at third with 2 outs, low and inside for ball 2. Castiglione today officially 1 for 2. He walked and scored in the first. He grounded out to first base, and in his last at-bat, last inning, RBI base hit. Here's the pitch. Down low for ball 3. First base is open for Solomon. Lombardo is on deck. He's got 2 hits for the Dolphins today. We'll see if Castiglione gets a green light here with 2 out. Takes low for ball 4. A 4-pitch walk issued by Solomon to Castiglione. And for the second time in the inning, the Dolphins have loaded the bases.
Well, it does set up the force all around, but with the command issues we've seen from pitching in this game to this point, I'm not sure that's the result you want if you're the Purple Knights. Also, Peter Lombardo has swung the bat well in this game, and he comes to the plate here with a chance to break this one wide open.
A big spot here for Solomon, who's been able to register 2 outs, but the bases are loaded for Lombardo, who's 2 for 3 in the game. A pair of singles. And that one is smoked to right field. It's drifting foul, and it is well foul. Lombardo with a run scored in the game as well. His base hit ended the 4th inning, actually, when Castiglione tried to race in to home plate. The play at the plate, he was out. But the Dolphins have added 3 more runs here in the bottom of the 5th to take a 9-4 lead. That one's down low for a ball, 1-1. Lombardo, another junior transfer for the Dolphins, playing his first official season for CSI after the shortened 2020. Thomas Joyce is on deck. He homered in this game and has a couple of RBI.
The Purple Knights certainly don't want to see this inning extended to where Joyce gets in at bat.
That one is ripped foul down the first base line, so the count goes to 1-2. Joyce actually led off the inning by earning on via a error and came around to score one of the Dolphins' 3 runs in the inning. So the Dolphins officially batting around. Bases are loaded for Lombardo. A 1-2 pitch upcoming with 2 out against reliever Tyler Solomon. As Joe mentioned, his first action of 2021 here for Bridgeport.
If he could escape limiting the damage to 3 in the inning, you have to think that his team would be very happy with that season debut.
Absolutely, as that one is a high strike 3 call on Lombardo. He's down on strikes for the second time in the game, but the Dolphins bat around. They get 3 runs on 3 hits in the inning and now take a 5-run lead going into the 6th. It's CSI 9, Bridgeport 4. Stay with us. You're watching CSI Baseball on CSI Sportsnet, proud part of the ECC network.
Wayne State Medical School has been my dream medical school since I was 5. Athletics are important, but so is service, so is research, so is becoming a better person. And we expect you to do well athletically, but don't forget the reason you're here, which is to give back to your community and to get good grades. It was my sophomore indoor season. It was the first year with our new head coach. And he comes in and he's like, we could be a national contending team if you guys work hard. And I heard him and I was like, well, I want to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. And I bought in because he bought into our team. And I qualified to go to indoor nationals. I decided I wanted it, so I went and grabbed it.
my phone, which I'm not using anyway.
Welcome back here to the CSI Baseball Complex. The Dolphins up 9-4 as we get set to start the 6th inning of play, and Nick Metzger continues to be the player on the hill for the Dolphins, working now into his 6th inning. This is the longest a CSI starter has survived in a game so far, Joe. Looking for the right words, but that is the right word. Metzger gave up 2 in the first, 2 in the third, but has since settled down to toss 2 scoreless innings in the 4th and 5th. And he will face batters 6, 7, and 8 in this inning at the least. Leonard leads off. And that one drops in there for a call strike. Leonard, a pair of fly balls on the afternoon. He's 0 for 2 as Trancucci wants to discuss the last pitch with Metzger.
I think the question on the minds of many Dolphins fans who have watched CSI's games thus far this season on the ECC network is, can the Dolphins survive these final 12 outs? Metzger, as you mentioned, going deeper into a game than any Dolphins starter before him this season, but CSI has seen games get away when they've turned to the bullpen. Some games didn't make it that far, but the matchups with Bridgeport last weekend certainly fit that description, where the bullpen let a Dolphins lead get away.
Yep, count is now 1-2 on Leonard. Here's the pitch by Metzger, high for a ball, 2-2. There are lights here at the CSI Baseball Complex, although still got a good 2 hours and 15 minutes of natural light left, as that one is put up over the head of Iacono at second base, drops into the outfield for a leadoff single for Craig Leonard.
Well, you mentioned that we do have the lights here. This game is officially 1 hour and 53 minutes old. As another advantage of digital stat keeping is that you do have the official time of game. But, of course, our stat keeper down the hall will be taking care of that for us at the end of the night as well. And hopefully, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, this game doesn't extend into the night, because I would have to think that doesn't bode well for them.
Probably not. Joe, you've become iScore's official spokesperson now. I hope you're getting some royalty checks.
I never named the app, Dave. I called it digital scorekeeping.
Well,
So
we'll give it its due. It's iScore, and
I believe by NBC Sports.
All right, there you go. Quick look over the shoulder to Leonard, and that one well outside. The pitch to Giambra, who is 0 for 2. He struck out looking and then grounded to first base his last time up.
Speaking of sports television, I did catch us last night on the All Sports Television Network for the first time.
And that one in the hole between first and second. Base hit, rounding second and heading to third is Leonard. The cutoff there, but the Purple Knights will have runners at the corners with nobody out here in the top of the 6th inning.
Jacob Rich with a chance to chip into that Dolphins lead as he steps into the box with the runners on the corners. He sent one into the right field corner in his last at bat, lashed a triple that landed on the warning track, a ball that just kept carrying. He hit it to the opposite field, and at the very least, the Purple Knights will look to get a fly ball out of him here to pick up that runner from third.
Second straight inning that Metzger has gotten into a 2 runners on with nobody out jam. Last time in the last inning it was runners at first and second. Now it's runners at first and third.
Frank Golko still throwing in the Dolphins bullpen.
And that one drops in there for a strike. Golko was CSI's Game 1 starter of the 2021 season. Had a tough outing against Malloy, but promising freshman from Arizona. Dolphins have big plans for throughout his 4-year career. There was down low for a ball, 1-1.
To be fair, Dave, every Dolphins pitcher took them out in that game, had a tough outing.
Yeah, Dolphins surrendered 27 runs in that game. I think it was the second highest total ever surrendered by the Dolphins all time. And rough intro to Division II in the ECC. Swung on and missed by Rich. The count will go to 1-2. Rich, the designated hitter in the game, as Joe mentioned, that sharp triple to lead off the inning 2 innings ago. He was then called out at home. A nice play made by Nick Cipoletti at short. And that one is chopped over. The play at second is in time. Throw to first, not in time. So Dolphins get the runner at second base, which was Giambra, so he's erased. But Rich with an RBI ground out, and the score is now 9-5.
Well, nicely done there by the Dolphins on the infield as Ulaj throws out the lead runner heading to second, though the runner over at third comes in to score. Certainly no chance for a play at the plate, but nicely done by the Dolphins, cutting down the runner going from first to second rather than just taking the out at first.
So Rich is now the runner at first base, 1 out, and Bridgeport reducing their deficit from 5 runs to 4. It's 9-5. Nairati, the batter, is 1 for 2. He singled his first time up. Earned on via a fielder's choice his last time up, but was caught stealing. So he's been on base twice. Looking to make it 3 for 3. Outside for a ball, 2-0 now. Dolphins do have already the 1 mound visit that they've issued to Metzger.
So they get 2 for the entirety of his outing.
That one is fouled straight back.
I was accustomed to the Major League rule. You're allowed 2 per inning. I was thinking to myself, in the previous inning when I saw the umpire signaling 2, I had remembered them visiting the mound in that inning. So that question crossed my mind, whether or not they get 2 visits for the entirety of their starting pitcher's outing or 2 in a given half inning.
I'd have to check that. I know that there's a limit on how many you can make total in a game. As that one is chopped towards short, Cipoletti underhands to Iacono. Throw to first in time, and the double play is in order. It gets the Dolphins out of the top half of the 6th after giving up just the lone run. And at the end of 5.5 innings of play, the Dolphins come up to bat with a 9-5 lead. Stay with us. More CSI Baseball on CSI Sportsnet. Up next.
My dad was a soccer coach and bought this little book bag. I could sit in the book bag like facing backwards and look like my legs out. So I'd be in his book bag when my dad coaches and the ball's going around. I'm like kicking at the ball in the back. And my dad was like, "We have a prodigy." So he put me into soccer and it just progressed from there. The catalyst was the opportunity to play soccer at a Division II school. On my team, I thrive to work as hard as I can. I mean, whatever you do on the field, there's a positive correlation to whatever else you do, be it personal relationships, homework, the way you carry yourself. I've changed since I got to King University. It's really helped me to develop as a leader. I think it's honestly the best thing that's ever happened.
Welcome back to the CSI Baseball Complex. The College of Staten Island, with their 4-run lead, will take their turns up at the plate here in the bottom half of the 6th inning. Tommy Joyce, Thomas Martin, and Shendi Ulaj will be the batters here. 4, 5, and 6 for the Dolphins. Facing relief pitcher Tyler Solomon, who came on to pitch to Cipoletti in the last inning, relieved Saccone, who was responsible for all 5 runs in relief that the Dolphins scored in the 4th and 5th innings. Dolphins were down 2-0 in this game and 4-3 before taking the leads back. Joyce sees the first pitch go low. He has reached base twice. He is 1 for 3, has the home run, 2 RBI, and was on via error, and that one is skied into left center. Shallow, and it does drop in between Nairati and Rodriguez, and so Tommy Joyce with a bloop single to open up the bottom half of the 6th.
That's the second time in as many innings as the Dolphins have been the beneficiaries of a well-placed pop fly single. Trancucci dropped one in front of the center fielder Donnelly in the previous inning, and that one falls in front of Nairati off the bat of Thomas Joyce, who's on with a leadoff base hit.
And so now Martin is up. He's officially 0 for 2, but has been on base twice. He reached via an error, lined out to left, and earned on via a hit by pitch, and scored in the last inning. That one is skied straight up in the air. Right field, if it's dropping, it does in fair territory, and Joyce will have to hold at second. That was skied up in the air, Joe. carried and landed really within inches of the foul line.
Looked just like the Joyce ball that landed in left center, and much like the Trancucci ball that landed in straightaway center last inning. As you mentioned it, Dave, the flag blowing in a bit more than it was earlier in the day. Perhaps that's knocking these pop-ups down, and that one just landed in a very fortunate spot for the Dolphins. There was very little space for that ball to come down in fair territory without being caught, but behold it does, and off the bat of Martin, who is on with a single, 2 on, nobody out, and Shendi Ulaj steps into the box.
Ulaj 2 for 3, and now pops up a bunt that is fielded clean by Roberts. So a tough out that time by Ulaj, who had been swinging a pretty hot bat, Joe. The Dolphins have him bunting unsuccessfully with the sacrifice, so the runners will stay at first and second now with 1 out.
Well, the Dolphins have shown their hand when it comes to their strategy. 2 on and nobody out. They are looking to bunt and put 2 in scoring position. It's been their consistent approach throughout the game, and it's worked thus far, but right there, nicely done on the infield by the Purple Knights, and great base running by both Joyce and Martin to stay put, not try and get it too much of a head start off the bases.
And Trancucci takes a strike to start off this at bat. Trancucci also swinging a hot bat. He's 2 for 3. After flying out foul his first time up, he's doubled and then singled. He's got an RBI and a run scored today. He'll face an 0-1 pitch. Joyce at second, Martin at first. Long look by Solomon will draw Trancucci out of the box. And that one is down low for a ball. As Joe mentioned, Solomon came on in relief last inning. It was his first work of the season and pitched admirably, all things considered. Swung on and hit sharply straight back, so the count will go to 1-2. On deck is Iacono, who scored himself a 2 RBI single his last time up in that 5th inning. Dolphins with 12 hits in this one have matched their highest total of the season. And that one is nubbed right in front of Pascal. He's going to go to third for the force, gets it, and then they double up Trancucci at first base. Nice job by Pascal to track that one and start the double play. Dolphins are retired here in the bottom of the 6th. Joe Foreman takes you through innings 7, 8, and 9. Coming up next here on CSI Sportsnet, Dolphins lead 9-5.
Being a champion takes more than skill, more than endless drills, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the heart to give it your all, the agility to thrive from any angle, and the relentless drive to be the best. Welcome to Division 2, where the pursuit is yours to create. And the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins maintaining a 4-run lead over the Purple Knights of the University of Bridgeport. Our score, 9-5. Entering the final 3 innings, and it will be a new pitcher for the College of Staten Island as Frank Golko comes on in relief of Nick Metzger, who pitched very well over his 6 innings. Threw a lot of pitches under pressure during that time as well and was able to navigate through that. Very strong effort for him on the mound.
Yeah, really impressed with Solomon in his half. Obviously gave up the 2 bloop singles to start the bottom of the 6th, but worked his way out of it. As did Metzger a couple of times for the Dolphins. But now the game is in the hands of Frank Golko, who gets himself a 4-run lead here when he first, takes the hill. He'll be pitching to Trancucci. That's the only defensive change for the Dolphins. And he is going to see, Joe, the top of the order for UB as well.
And for Golko on the season, you mentioned that one rough outing he had to open 2021. That put his ERA north of 43, 5.4 whip. That appearance and start, his only appearance of the season. He threw only 1 2/3 innings in that game, allowed 6 hits, 8 runs, all of those earned. He walked 3 and struck out a batter. So a very tough day for Frank in that first outing of the year. You can probably toss those numbers out. We'll see what he does here against the University of Bridgeport in this game, pitching in some very important innings for the College of Staten Island as they look for their first ECC win of the 2021 season. They did defeat Mercy College last year for their first East Coast Conference win in program history.
Yeah, but this one actually counts towards the standings, and the Dolphins, even though they're ineligible for postseason play, can definitely throw a wrench into other teams' playoff plans if they could score some wins within conference play. So each one of these games pretty big for the Dolphins.
You know that none of their opponents will be taking these games lightly, especially given those circumstances, as I'm sure many teams don't want to lose to the school in their provisional Division II period, not fully immersed in Division II yet, and ineligible for postseason play, as you mentioned. But with those games counting in the standings, every one of these matchups within the conference is huge for the teams visiting the CSI Baseball Complex and those teams facing the Dolphins at home within the ECC. Here comes the 1-2 pitch to Canal Roberts, and he takes off the plate for ball 2.
Yeah, you can see Golko's delivery as a very unique delivery. Kind of comes at you pretty quickly, and he does like to work quick.
2 balls and 2 strikes the count. And Roberts takes up and away for ball 3. Roberts looking to reach for the first time. He's 0 for 3, a pair of groundouts and a strikeout.
Yeah, that's the thing with a 4-run lead. You don't want to lose any batters here via the walk.
And there's a big strikeout for Golko to open up the 7th as Roberts goes down swinging.
Yeah, that time Roberts may have offered at ball 4. That was well high in the strike zone. But Golko gets his first career strikeout against the University of Bridgeport in his career, and that'll bring up Matt Rodriguez.
That was very kind of you, Dave, because he certainly offered at ball 4. He went up the ladder after that one. He was looking for a fastball, and he got it, but it was not in the strike zone. As that breaking ball finds the inside corner. What a hook there from Frank Golko.
Absolutely. Probably his best pitch so far, for sure. Rodriguez doubled his last time up and is officially 1 for 2. He did reach base on a walk as well.
And that breaking ball misses down in the dirt for ball 1. But with a curveball like that, you can certainly throw out those numbers from his first outing of the season, because there's no way that hitters are going to consistently put that ball in play, especially when it starts up at the helmet and breaks onto the inside corner. As the fastball misses well out of the strike zone for ball 2.
Yeah, and obviously some of the calls I hear coming from the CSI dugout are just, relax. Sometimes when you're a freshman playing in your first few games, you want to overthrow and throw one through the backstop.
As that misses for ball 3. Command an issue for Nick Metzger, the Dolphins starter, early in this game. He corrected those issues as the game went on and surrendered only 1 run in his final 3 innings of work through the middle third of this game after surrendering 2 in the first and 2 in the third. And a big swing there by Matt Rodriguez as he fouls that back to the backstop and runs the count full.
Metzger did a good job, though, of letting his fielders do their work behind them. Dolphins have been good in the field. They do have the 1 error, but Metzger only had the 2 Ks. He did walk 4, but otherwise the defense has been up to the task.
Big game in the field for the Dolphins as that one misses for ball 4. And taking first base on the 1-out walk is Matt Rodriguez. That will bring up Ryan Donnelly.
Speaking of walks, Donnelly is officially 0 for 1. He's walked twice in the game. Flied out his first time up. And again, you always keep your eye when you're at this stage of the lineup on the on-deck circle where Andre Marchesal has been tearing it up.
Right before that strikeout of Roberts to open up the inning, I mentioned the Dolphins are up by 4, and I was about to say before the strikeout, guess who's 4 batters away, Dave?
Yeah, well, you always have to, negotiate for him being in the lineup and where he is, what you're doing to the runners ahead of him, and that's the beauty of having a hitter like that in your lineup. It's not just about him. It's what's happening before him as well and how pitchers choose to attack. And you could see Golko, who lost Rodriguez, is now down in the count to Donnelly.
Well, I can tell you right now that Purple Knights dugout, they're trying to get in Golko's head out there on the mound. With every pitch that misses out of the strike zone, they're making noise. And there's a shot foul. And
my goodness.
If you were one of the unfortunate spectators or employees on campus who managed to park back there and got hit by a foul ball, you would be very, very upset.
Yeah, that was hit a ton, and I went all the way into the second row of well, there's no cars there now, but where there would be otherwise on a school day like today, a packed house here on campus, but everything remote.
I chose to go third row behind the first base bleachers. I think that was a pretty safe pick. There were a lot of cars bunched up in that area, but given my experience watching these foul balls travel over the booth, I thought that was the best spot. As the count runs to 3-1 on Ryan Donnelly and things getting more and more precarious for Frank Golko out on the mound. He has to come in with something here.
And does, yeah. Nice pitch there by Golko. That time, he was hanging around the inside part of the plate, Joe, and that time he crossed him up, went outside. Count goes full.
Another 3-2 count for Golko. Last full count resulted in a strikeout. Here comes the payoff pitch. And that's it out to right field, carrying toward the right field corner. Joyce looks up, and that ball is gone. Just fair inside of the right field foul pole. And the Purple Knights have pulled back to within 2 runs as a 2-run homer off the bat of Ryan Donnelly has cut the Dolphins' lead to 9-7.
Yeah, so a 4-run lead is now just a 2-run lead, and this is a new ball game. Once again, the 9th hit of the game, the first hit of the game for Ryan Donnelly, and he makes it hurt with that home run. And that one, just like you called it, Joe, had plenty of distance, and it was maybe 3 or 4 feet inside the pole. And that brings up, of course, the hot-hitting Andre Marchessault.
You have a better angle than me. I have a very poor angle looking out toward right field. That was, in my view, as close as it gets to being a foul ball. But the umpire had a much better view than both of us as Marchessault sends one out to deep center field. Castiglione ranging back and makes the catch on the warning track.
What a job by Castiglione. I mean, he was backpedaling from the moment that was struck and tracked it nicely right at the lip of the warning track, straight away center field. And that's a long out, but a big out for Frank Golko.
Well, I'm not sure what that hand motion you gave me was. I don't know if you thought that was gone or if you thought...
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought that meant, and that was awfully close as Castiglione stumbled onto the warning track backpedaling, but stayed with it all the way. And that might be one of the rare cases in this game where the wind kept the ball in the ballpark instead of assisting it on its way out.
Yeah, very surprised Castiglione got to that one. Just the way, the velocity at which that one took off, it looked like a surefire warning track or home run to me.
And a huge swing there by Pascal. As it looks like the Purple Knights are trying to tee off of Frank Golko here. A lot of big swings in this half inning. And that one will even the count at 1-1. 7 outs to get for this Dolphins bullpen. They've had their issues thus far this season. But the Dolphins already scoring 9 runs in this game, hoping that they aren't finished yet. 2 balls and 1 strike the count as Golko steps off.
Pascal is 1 for 2 officially. He did reach base via a walk. He also has an RBI single in the game.
Here comes the 2-1, and that's fouled towards where I parked, but I'm feeling confident that's not near my car, and count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, if you're viewing the long angle on your screen, CSI residence halls are located in right center field.
As that's it on the ground to short, another chance for Cipolletti, and he makes it look easy for the 3rd out of the inning, but not before a Ryan Donnelly 2-run homer tucked inside of the right field foul pole cuts the Dolphins' lead in half. Our score 9-7 as we head into the bottom half of the 7th inning.
As a student athlete in college, I first got involved with the NCAA at the national level. It was through the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC, gave me an opportunity to advocate on behalf of all student athletes, to affect change and to make an impact. The NCAA is giving the student athlete a platform to voice their concerns and to be able to advocate for what's going to affect their well-being. The policies that are being put in place are speaking towards academics, they're speaking towards well-being, they're speaking towards fairness, creating a culture so that the student athletes have the best experience as possible.
And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex. This game just got a little bit closer following the top half of the 7th as the Purple Knights cut the Dolphins' lead from 4-2. Our score 9-7 heading into the bottom half of the seventh inning for the Dolphins. It will be 8-9-1 due up against Tyler Solomon, who, Dave, has pitched very well since coming out of the bullpen to make his season debut and inheriting the bases loaded.
Yeah, that in itself has been impressive, and we've seen a little bit of everything. We've seen some timely hitting, we've seen some good fielding, we've seen some pitching, some good pitching in some spots, but we've seen a lot of runs scored as well. And you have to think, Joe, if Solomon can continue to keep the Dolphins at bay, Bridgeport might have an answer. We knew that these two teams could score based on what happened Saturday. Bridgeport 30 runs on 31 hits in the two games, and they're going toe-to-toe in this one as well. 16 runs between them, 21 hits. It's been fun the entire way.
Well, I said it earlier, Dave, when Bridgeport was trailing CSI 9-4. Do not count this Purple Knights team out of this game. We saw how prolific their offense could be in that previous two-game set against the Dolphins on Saturday, scoring 30 runs, and they have 7 up on the scoreboard right now. We'll look to keep the deficit at 2. Julian Iacono stepping into the box to lead things off for the Dolphins in the bottom of the 7th. He is 1 for 2 with a ground out, a sacrifice bunt, and a single to this point in the game.
Yeah, and that single was a 2 RBI single that chased Saccone out of the game, that yielded Solomon, who's come on and, like Joe mentioned, has been pretty good since.
An impressive debut for Solomon, as I spoke about when we entered this half inning. Inherited a bases-loaded jam and was able to limit the damage in that inning. And he remains the pitcher for the Purple Knights as he gets ahead in the count on Iacono, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Right now, both bullpens remain inactive. That's a good idea, Dave, as now we can see what camera shot we're working with the broadcast on the phone.
Yeah, except we are a little delayed here.
A little bit. As that one's popped up on the infield, and making the play at short is Rodriguez for the first out.
Yeah, and I think I was tracing back. Let's see. It's the first time since the 3rd inning that the Dolphins had their first leadoff batter retired. Everybody else has been getting on, so that's a positive sign too for Bridgeport.
Getting the leadoff hitter on, certainly a recipe for success, as Nick Cipoletti will be the batter. Cipoletti 1 for 2. And the first pitch he sees is up and in for ball 1.
He also has an RBI single in the game and executed a really good sac bunt his last time up against Solomon.
He's been right in the middle of several key putouts out in the field as well.
Oh, he's been sensational in the field, Joe. He's handled tough hops pretty well. He had one go through him at one point when he was playing up that was registered as a hit, but otherwise he's been sensational playing shortstop today.
That one play with the infield drawn in on a tough hop is the only play he hasn't made. He's made everything else look pretty easy to this point, and he's ahead in the count here, 3-0. Looking to get on base for the second time. Three balls and no strikes the count, as Solomon delivers a strike right down the middle. Here comes the 3-1 pitch, and a big swing and a miss there by Cipoletti for strike 2. Walks have been an issue for just about every pitcher who's entered this game, but not for Solomon, who's only issued 1 thus far. And there's number 2 as Cipoletti takes just outside the zone for ball 4.
Yeah, the pitchers have been getting that high strike, Joe, and that time Solomon came downstairs with one and just missed the strike zone. And now Mandiel, who's still looking for his first hit of the afternoon, has a chance here with a runner on. Mandiel officially 0 for 3. He has been on base via a walk. That was way back in the first inning where he came around to score as well.
Taking a look, Dave, I believe every Dolphin has reached base in this game.
Yep.
As Mandiel takes a big cut and comes up empty for strike 1. It's been a complete effort from the College of Staten Island in this game. Great defensive play, strong hitting, and the pitching thus far has been good enough. We'll see if that remains the case over the last 2 innings, as that's hit sharply on the ground down the left field line for a base hit. Taking the turn and heading for third is Cipoletti. Mandiel heading for second right behind him. The throw is cut off, and the Dolphins will have runners on second and third with 1 away for Dominic Castiglione.
Yeah, and I believe Mandiel is now the final Dolphin to actually score a hit in the game. So everybody in the lineup now with a hit for CSI. 13th of the game. It puts Mandiel at second and Cipoletti at third. And with 1 out, Castiglione is the batter. 1 for 2 today with an RBI single. He has walked twice as well. First base is open, and the infield is in.
You have to think there's a good chance they pitch around Castiglione just a bit in hopes of perhaps turning a double play or at least giving themselves a chance for force play at home. Though with the walk issues we've seen and command problems throughout the game, that's a risky play as that one misses upstairs for ball 1. Looked like a breaking ball that sailed high on Solomon, as there is now action in the bullpen for the Purple Knights, though whoever it is throwing out there is wearing a jacket, so we can't see.
Yep, no number this time.
That is no help to us here in the broadcast booth, as that one is flared into shallow right field. It will fall for a base hit. Great read by Mandiel at second, who comes around to score easily. It's a 2 RBI single for Dominic Castiglione. The Dolphins get the 2 runs they surrendered in the top half right back. Our score now 11-7.
Yeah, and lost in that was the heads-up base running of Louis Mandiel. He took off right away, never hesitated coming around third base, and there was no way he was going to be out at home. So it turns out to be a 2 RBI single. May see another pitching change here, or at least a visit, Joe, as the Dolphins get the 2 runs they yielded in the top half of the 7th back and are back up by 4.
A tremendous read by Mandiel over at second base to see that ball was clearly going to fall off the bat. Apparently was going to be trouble, and it does indeed look like we will have a pitching change. So we'll step aside for just a minute. When we come back, it will be a new pitcher for the Purple Knights, and you will find out who that new pitcher is as soon as we do with the jacket coming off. Dolphins lead 11-7 when we return on CSI Sportsnet.
Being a champion takes more than talent, more than the perfect pass, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the spirit to always push harder, the ability to overcome any hurdle, and the fire to be the best. Welcome to Division 2, where the pursuit is yours to create. And the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet. New pitcher for the Purple Knights, as Justin Hayfield will come on and try and escape trouble in the top, or I should say the bottom half of the 8th inning. Dolphins have already put 2 up on the scoreboard, and Hayfield inherits a runner on first base. That's Dominic Castiglione, who just singled in a pair. Peter Lombardo scheduled to bat. First batter Hayfield will face coming out of the bullpen for the Purple Knights as they look to keep the deficit at 4.
Yeah, so big spot for him as well. Obviously, Castiglione, the only base runner at this point, but again, if you're Bridgeport, you just want to keep things within striking distance, give your batters a chance in their turns of the 8th and 9th to get back into this one. And after cutting CSI's lead in half from 4-2, it's back up to 4, and the Dolphins aren't done yet. Back-to-back hits and big ones by Mandiel and Castiglione, and Lombardo now comes up to bat, and he's 2 for 4 and looking for his 3rd hit of the game.
I get a lot of numbers here on my stat tracking app, at bats, or I should say batting average with runners in scoring position. Not one of them, unfortunately, but the Dolphins have done a great job with men on base in this game to this point, have not squandered many opportunities, and that really has been the case for them thus far this season as they put runs up on the scoreboard. Unfortunately for them, it hasn't been enough with the pitching allowing some of those leads to get away, and they've extended their lead right back to 4 runs in this half inning. They have 14 base hits in the game, and will look to add to their 11 runs with Peter Lombardo coming to bat here. Man on, 1 out. As Justin Hayfield comes out of the bullpen for the Purple Knights, trying to keep the deficit right where it is, and his first pitch is outside for ball 1.
what you expect strong hitting teams to do, though, Joe. And that's something that Mike Morrow told me, after the last loss to Bridgeport is, Dolphins are hitting the ball well, and they're getting good swings, they're getting good at bats, and you want your hitters to continue to put your pitchers in good positions. And in a game like this, where you squander a 4-run lead, it gets hit. 5-run lead actually gets whittled down to 2. The hitters come through again, and make their bats known, and are doing their job at the plate.
Bridgeport certainly was energized after cutting that lead down to 2 runs, and seems the momentum has swung in the other direction, though we might have another swing of momentum here as that's hit softly on the ground to short, and the Purple Knights are out of the inning. 6-4-3 double play brings the Dolphins half of the 7th to a close, but not before CSI puts a pair up on the scoreboard. Their lead is now 4 runs once again. Our score 11-7 as we head to the 8th inning.
For me, just kind of was the glue that kept my family together. I feel like I don't know what it was that drew me in, but after I started playing for a while and started seeing some early success as a little kid, to see how much it meant to my parents to see me play the game and try to make a difference was really what fueled me to keep playing and stay competitive. Being a triple major is not necessarily easy, but at the same time it is what you make it. Being a tighter-knit university, I have a lot of classes with the same professors, so they know me pretty well. I think it's that personal relationship that really helped me to thrive as a student. I was able to come here and get my triple major, as well as play a super high level of baseball against some of the best players in the country. There's a lot of options here in Division II with a lot of great ball players and a lot of great people, and they make sure that they give you every opportunity to succeed on and off the field.
And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex. We have several substitutions for the Dolphins. We'll have all of those for you in just a moment as Dave went down the hall to pass them to our official score. Taking a look right now, I see number 34, Michael Manzo, out in right field, and number 22, Stephen Kalika, taking over at first base. I don't believe there are any other changes for the Dolphins, but if I do catch another defensive replacement out there in the field for CSI, I'll be sure to pass that along. Dolphins leading the Purple Knights by a score of 11-7 entering the 8th inning. It will be 6, 7, and 8 due up for the University of Bridgeport in their half of inning number 8. And I'll check with Dave to make sure. Dave, the subs, number 34, Manzo in right field, and 22, Kalika at first base.
Yes, so defensive changes obviously for the Dolphins here, trying to close this one out. Final 6 innings defensively. They hope.
They certainly do, as Joyce and Lombardo will come out of the game for CSI. Joyce was due to lead off the bottom half of the 8th inning, as that one misses for ball 3. So quickly a 3-0 count on Craig Leonard, who I think you'd expect to be taking one here, perhaps 2, with his team trailing by 4 runs. And the 3-0 pitch from Golko is not even close for ball 4, and the Purple Knights have a leadoff base runner.
Yeah, so second walk issued now for Golko since he's come on. And for Leonard, it's the second straight at bat that he's reached base, and Steven Giambra will be the batter. He also singled his last time up, his first hit of the game. He's officially 1 for 3, ended up scoring.
Runner on first is Leonard, and they'll take a look over at him and attempt to pick off, but Leonard's back in there easily.
Stephen Kalika, who's at first base, a very good fielding first baseman, also spent some time on the hill.
Kalika logged a lot of innings for the Dolphins in 2019. Many of those key innings down the stretch of the season. Dolphins hope they won't need him on the mound today as they look to Frank Golko for 6 more outs. And the 1-0 pitch misses inside, and you have to think with another walk there might be some stirring down in the Dolphins bullpen. No action yet, but Golko has had trouble finding the strike zone. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. That sails high for ball 3.
Yeah, and Golko just needs a strike at this point. He's issued 7 straight balls to start this top of the 8th, and if you're Bridgeport, you love it because you're down by 4, and at this point you need base runners.
You can see Golko has the stuff. It's the command that's lacking right now.
Right.
Here comes the 3-0 pitch. And that is on the outside corner for a called strike one. And the Dolphins dugout starting to make some noise as Bridgeport's dugout has been all over Frank Golko since he's come into the game with every pitch out of the strike zone. Three balls and one strike the count on Steven Giambra. And the pitch from Golko misses up and in for ball four. It's back-to-back walks to open up the Purple Knights half of the eighth inning, and that will bring up Jacob Rich. There is indeed action down in the Dolphins bullpen, as it looks like Nick Velarde will begin throwing.
Yeah, and we'll get our first visit from Daddio over to Golko. Maybe buying some time for Velarde to get himself warm as well. But, you know, for Golko, this is his first turn around the order. And with a 4-run lead, you'd expect him to attack the order, Joe, let his defense work behind him as he gets a feel for the batters. But it's been on the easy way here in the top of the eighth. 2 runners on via the walk, and now Jacob Rich, the batter, who does have a triple in this game. He is 1 for 3 with an RBI.
We've spoken about it several times already. Dolphins pitchers should not be hesitant to allow hitters to put the ball in play. The CSI defense has been excellent behind both Golko and Metzger, though Golko hasn't really had the ball put in play much. A great play by Castiglione on the warning track, but it's primarily been walks that have put runners on behind Golko, as time is called by designated hitter Jacob Rich. Rich 1 for 3 with a triple. Corners in for the Dolphins, perhaps expecting a bunt, which would be surprising, as that misses high for ball one.
Yeah, every pitch now becomes a little bit of a struggle here for Golko because the batter knows it, knows he needs to come in at some point.
Doubt we'll see Rich swing until he sees a strike. He's ahead in the count 1-0, and that one finds the zone to even the count at 1-1. For Golko, that was pitch number 35. 20 of his 35 pitches have been out of the strike zone. Count even at 1-1. Corners move back for the Dolphins, and now squaring up to bunt is Rich. He pops it up, but no chance for Trancucci.
Yeah, no chance. And that time, Rich shaking his head as soon as he got the bat on the ball. He knew he needed to do better with that one, and now he gets the second strike on him. We'll need to put the bat in motion.
Let's see where Ulaj plays here. He was all the way back on that previous pitch, and now he's playing near the lip of the grass, and he'll backpedal a few steps. He won't play too far in with 2 strikes on the batter. A big pitch here for Golko as he looks for a huge first out. And that won't do it as that bounces in the dirt for ball 2. Two balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. University of Bridgeport looking to stage a late inning comeback. Dolphins looking for their first ECC victory of the season as that misses up and in for ball 3.
This next pitch, Joe, is a monster here for Golko and the batter, Jacob Rich. If he's able to turn on one, put one in motion, could be a big hit. If not, a third walk could spell the end for Golko.
And that's chopped foul down the first base line. And the runner from second will have to head back. That's Craig Leonard, the lead runner. Over at first is Steven Giambra, both of whom drew walks. And I think you're right, Dave. There's been plenty of time now for Velarde to throw during this long at bat. If Golko issues another walk, that would likely spell the end for the Dolphins freshman.
Yeah, and the body language on Velarde is that he's pretty much ready to go, although he's been missing wildly over in the dugout. That's the third one I think he almost put over the catcher's head. So he's really, he's really trying to get some mustard on the ball.
He's throwing with purpose down there in the bullpen. Need to save some of those for your relief appearances. It may be upcoming right here as that one misses up and in for ball 4. And Golko has walked the bases loaded after what was a promising start to his outing. And really, since that 2-run homer, things have spiraled out of control.
Justin Nairati is up. He's 1 for 3. He did single and has grounded into a couple of outs. The last one was an inning-ending double play the last time he was up.
And the first pitch to Nairati is not even close, as Golko has lost the strike zone completely here. I'm actually pretty surprised he got another batter. We mentioned Velarde was throwing with purpose, not necessarily on target, as Dave mentioned, and Golko off target once again here for ball 2.
Yeah, and those last 2 pitches, Joe, haven't really been close. And, you know, you want to let your young freshman kind of work out of these situations. That's how you grow as a player. But with the tying run at the plate here, this could be precarious for the Dolphins.
And Golko finds the zone with that fastball for a called strike 1. And you have to think that he'll try and come in with that pitch again. Desperately in need of an out. Doubt we'll see Nairati get the green light here. No, he does swing, and that is fouled into the parking lot.
All right, so that's a confidence builder there for Golko. Nairati does get a piece, but not enough of it. Time for a big pitch here with 2-2 the count, and the runners loading the bases.
2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out, and nowhere to put Nairati. Bases loaded, and that one is fouled back once again into the parking lot.
That was a good confident swing, though, by Nairati. You know, he knew that was close enough to the strike zone, kind of wasted it away. Looking to get that timing down here against Golko. Golko looking to put one by him.
That was a textbook defensive cut to stay in the at-bat. Nice job by Nairati. Here comes the 2-2 pitch, and that is down in the dirt for ball 3.
Yeah, Trancucci couldn't corral that one in. That was just outside the strike zone. Another payoff pitch here, this time to Nairati. 3-2 count.
Nowhere to put Nairati with the bases loaded. Full count pitch upcoming from Frank Golko. And the 3-2 pitch is swung on and missed for strike 3. A huge punch out for Frank Golko, and that is a huge out number 1.
Yeah, so the CSI coaching staff showing faith in their young freshman pitcher after he loads the bases via the walk, comes back on a 3-2 pitch, strikes out Justin Nairati. Huge at-bat for Golko, but now here comes the top of the order. Connell Roberts, 0 for 4, one of the, I think the only player to not have a hit in this lineup.
And the first pitch he sees is up high for ball 1, and goes to show what I know. I was surprised Golko got another batter, and he responds to that confidence placed in him by his coaching staff with a huge strikeout. Right now, pitching most important inning of his college career, albeit a young career, with this Dolphins team. And that 1-0 pitch misses down and away for ball 2.
Trancucci, nice job to keep it in front of him on that breaking pitch. And I was right. Connell Roberts, the only player in the order without a base hit here for the Purple Knights. And if he gets one in this situation, it would be huge, as he represents the tying run with 1 out.
2-0 the count on Roberts. And the pitch from Golko is outside for ball 3.
Yeah, just outside, too. I think Golko wanted that one. He was a little bit more demonstrative on the mound after that one missed. And we'll see if that forces him to come inside now with his next pitch.
I think we had some friends down the hall who wanted that call, too. 3 balls and no strikes the count. Roberts likely to take one here, and he does right down the middle for a called strike 1.
Should mention, too, that the wind is now blowing almost totally in, although now it's swirling again towards the right, but unfriendly wind for the batters now.
Well, the wind completely in, puts it blowing toward us, and it is getting cooler out here at the CSI Baseball Complex. And the 3-1 pitch misses outside for ball 4, so that will force in a run. It brings the Purple Knights to within 3. Our score 11-8, and that will be the score when we come back from break. And hold on a second, as it looked like Mike Morrow signaled for a left-hander out of the bullpen, and there will indeed be a pitching change as he told the pitcher to hold up for a moment, and pitching change upcoming. We'll be right back here on CSI Sportsnet. Dolphins lead the Purple Knights 11-8. Bases loaded for the University of Bridgeport.
In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
I think that's my deal. Well, Dave and I speculating as to who the new pitcher for the Dolphins might be, and we think it's Louis Mandiel who came in from left field to pitch. It's number 21. That's Castiglione coming in from center field to pitch. So Mandiel will move over from left to center, and Castiglione will move from center field to pitcher. Entering into left field for the Dolphins will be Brian Burkhead. So again, it's Burkhead from the bench to left field, Mandiel from left field to center field, and Castiglione from center field to the mound. So 3 changes for the Dolphins as we await the top of the Bridgeport batting order. It will be Connell Roberts coming to bat with the bases loaded and 1 out, his team trailing by 3. As some exchange going on out near the mound, and that Shendi Ulaj taking something from Dominic Castiglione and running it back to the dugout as we are getting official substitutions from the home plate umpire right now. I believe we have those correct on our own, but Dave will confirm for me in just a moment, and he'll pass those along down the hall as well. We also have to update the scoreboard in left field as the score not reflecting 11-8 at the moment. Castiglione coming on to pitch for the Dolphins. And again, it's the top of the order upcoming for the University of Bridgeport. Bases remain loaded, and the Dolphins are clinging to a 3-run lead. I'll get the numbers for Dominic Castiglione on the mound this season, though I'm not sure there are any for the Dolphins right-hander, and I would be correct. Castiglione making his season debut on the mound. Didn't get much work for the Dolphins pitching in 2019, CSI's last full season. But he is thrown right into the fire here, as it will be Matt Rodriguez, I misspoke, coming to bat for the Purple Knights. Drawing the walk was Roberts ahead of him. Roberts picks up the RBI with that bases-loaded walk, and the first pitch to Rodriguez misses downstairs for ball 1.
Yeah, so you were right, Joe, about all the changes for CSI. Castiglione comes on to the mound to pitch. Mandiel moves over. Brian Burkhead is now in the lineup and is playing left field.
Dolphins hoping Castiglione can find the strike zone, as that one is popped up a mile high. Will it stay in play for Trancucci? And that was nearly an incredible play by Kalika as he collides with Trancucci. Both remain down. We'll see if Sal is okay. I'm not sure if they bumped heads. We hope that is not the case, as that could force Trancucci out of the game. Trancucci nearly made an incredible play himself against the netting. The ball popped out of his glove, and sliding in was Kalika, who nearly made the catch himself. It would have been a remarkable play. Instead, the Dolphins may be down a catcher as Trancucci is being attended to by trainer Allison Ocasio.
Yeah, just a tough play. That's one of the toughest plays to make in the sport. And Trancucci almost made it. He ran out of real estate. If he had a little bit more room, maybe he plays that cleanly. But seeing the netting and the backstop coming up in front of him, he's now being worked on. Obviously, anytime there's any sort of a head injury, that's going to be many precautions taken. Stephen Kalika is going back to first base, so he seems to be okay. And they'll just tend to Trancucci at this point. Otherwise, a long and what could be a very costly strike against the batter, Matt Rodriguez.
No doubt about it, Dave. If Trancucci is forced out of the game, that would be a very costly foul ball, and he nearly made a tremendous play against the netting. And Kalika came sliding in, almost made the catch himself on the rebound, as Trancucci is back to his feet, going through what appears to be some concussion testing. I didn't see if he collided head first with Kalika, but
no, yeah, I was thinking if anything, it might have been Kalika's glove or maybe his shoulder that came in late. You know, we kind of got shielded out of the play by the backstop too, but Trancucci is going to stay in the game, and that's a good thing for the Dolphins. He'll take a couple of warm-up tosses, I would think, get himself going again. And at the end of all of this, Matt Rodriguez gets another turn. Joe, he's walked twice in this game. He does have a double in the game as well, but has been on base 3 out of the 4 times he's been up, and officially 1 for 2 on the afternoon. Still a huge spot, as the tying run is now at first base.
Here we go from the CSI Baseball Complex. The action resumes. 1 ball and 1 strike, the count, and that one is behind Rodriguez and to the backstop, as another run will come home to score. From third base, Steven Giambra comes in. That cuts the Dolphins' lead to 2. The tying run moves into scoring position, and the count runs to 2-1 on Matt Rodriguez.
Lots of drama once again mounting here, as that time via the wild pitch that goes behind Matt Rodriguez. No chance for Trancucci to stop that one, and it's a 2-1 count with first base open.
Two and 1 the count, and time is called. As moving up to third is Jacob Rich. Connell Roberts moved up to second base. Here comes the 2-1 from Castiglione. That's chopped foul. And that runs the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Make it 2 balls and 2 strikes. And we'll get that corrected as, Dave, I committed the cardinal sin of looking out at the left field scoreboard at just the wrong time.
Can't do that, Joe.
I should know better. I'm a 6-year vet now. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 1 out. Huge pitch upcoming from Castiglione. And he misses up and in for ball 3.
And first base is open, so it's not the worst thing in the world, but at the same time, right now, Bridgeport with 2 runs without the benefits of a hit in this inning.
The man on deck and batter in the hole, as that one is fouled back. Both have something in common. They have homered in this game. Ryan Donnelly out of the 3 spot and Andre Marchesal out of the cleanup spot.
Castiglione came in and saved the game against Mercy last year, the 2020 CSI win. But that was his only appearance, and doesn't have a lot of appearances on the hill for the Dolphins.
Here comes his payoff pitch, and that's ripped down the line for an extra base hit. The tying run will come home to score as that ball rolls into the left field corner, and into second base standing with a 2 RBI double is Matt Rodriguez, and we are knotted up at 11 runs apiece.
Yep, and so, it's back to a 0-0 game, Joe, and that was the first hit of the inning for Bridgeport, and yet 4 runs have crossed, and that's what happens when there are walks. And there's plenty of damage, still more to be done for Bridgeport as 2 of their best hitters, Ryan Donnelly, who Joe mentioned hit a 3-run blast the last time he was up with a runner in scoring position. Officially 1 for 2, but he's reached base 2 other times via the walk.
And the first pitch to Donnelly is down and away for ball 1. Hit that big 2-run homer off of Frank Gulko his last time up. And I have to get the official line for Gulko, who was tagged with just about all of these runs. In fact, I think he was tagged for all the runs that have come home to score in this inning to this point.
Yes, sir.
As that's in for a called strike. And That's not going to help the ERA for Gulko. 1-1 the count on Donnelly. Castiglione now trying to keep this game tied as he and Trancucci will run through the signs again.
Either way, Solomon and Castiglione now the pitchers of record in this game, if you're scoring at home.
And the 1-1 pitch misses for ball 2.
Think about that play right behind the backstop that Trancucci could not make against Matt Rodriguez. It gave Rodriguez another life. He ends up smoking one down the left field line, and, you know, just 2 or 3 pitches later, the score is tied.
Here comes the 2-1, and that's down and away for ball 3.
No action in CSI's bullpen. Remember, they have a busy week upcoming. They have a home game on Wednesday against Dominican, non-league game. And then they open up a 3-game set on Friday against St. Thomas Aquinas. 1 game on Friday, 2 on Saturday. So they need their pitchers.
It looked promising through the 6th inning, but things have really taken a turn for the worse here as that misses for ball 4, and drawing the walk is Ryan Donnelly. And Andre Marchessault has a chance to put his team in front with a base hit here. Runners on first and second and 1 out for the very dangerous Purple Knights cleanup hitter.
Yeah, Marchessault with a 2-run home run, an RBI triple, and then if you remember, Joe, the last one he smoked to straightaway center field that Dominic Castiglione had to race back and catch right at the lip of the warning track.
Huge spot here with this game tied at 11. The two teams have combined for 22 runs and 24 base hits. As that is ripped through the left side for a base hit. We'll see if Rodriguez will try it, and he will score easily as the ball is misplayed in left field by Brian Burkhead. And with that RBI single, the Purple Knights are back out in front, 12-11.
Yeah, so the Purple Knights overcome a 5-run deficit. They were down 9-4 in this game and have come all the way back now to take a 12-11 lead. And with 1 out, they still have runners at first and second. So now if you're the Dolphins, you need to keep this game within distance here for your final 2 turns at the plate. 5 runs coming in on the benefits of 2 hits in the inning.
And there's a huge swing and a miss by Anthony Pascal for strike 1.
Pascal 1 for 3. He had an RBI single his second time up. He has grounded to short the last 2 times.
And the 0-1 sails straight to the backstop. That will advance both runners into scoring position as Donnelly, who was already in scoring position, takes third. Marchessault takes second right behind him. And that will prompt a visit from Mike Morrow out of the Dolphins dugout. And there will be a pitching change upcoming. So we will step aside once again. Dolphins now trail by a run. Purple Knights threatening for more in the top half of the 8th inning.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet. Dolphins now trailing the Purple Knights of the University of Bridgeport by a score of 12-11 in this East Coast Conference matchup. Our first baseball broadcast of the 2021 season on the ECC network, and it has been as entertaining a game as I have ever covered here on CSI Sportsnet. The Dolphins now trail by a run, 23 runs scored between the two teams, now 25 base hits combined for the two sides, and looking to put an end to this Bridgeport rally is new Dolphins pitcher Nick Velarde, who comes out of the CSI bullpen. Dolphins also realigning their outfield with Dominic Castiglione returning to center field from the mound and moving from center field back to his starting position in left field is Louis Mandil. Dave heading down the hall to pass those substitutions along to our official score, as it will be Anthony Pascal stepping back into the box for the University of Bridgeport in their half of the 8th inning following that wild pitch, which brought an end to Castiglione's outing.
Yeah, so Castiglione goes back to center field. Joe Mandiel moves over from center to back into left, and now in the DH spot in the lineup where Martin was and where Burkhead took over is now the pitcher, Nick Velarde. So granted, he's just into pitch, I would guess, because the designated hitter bats second in the next inning. But right now the mission is to get out of this top half of the 8th.
If Velarde could limit the damage to 5 or 6, that would be what the Dolphins are looking for in this spot. Certainly not an easy task, as 5 runs have already come home to score. A fly ball here could add 1 more and extend the Purple Knights' lead to 2. Long look in from Velarde as Pascal awaits the 1-2 pitch. And he is plunked with that one, which will reload, or I should say, yes, reload the bases once again as Craig Leonard will come to bat with the bases full of Purple Knights.
Yeah, so Donnelly now moves over to third, Marchesol over to second, and now at first is Anthony Pascal. And it'll be Craig Leonard, who's gotten on base the last 2 times. The last time was to open this inning, Joe, with the walk, and he ended up scoring earlier in the inning. So officially batting around now in the second turnaround for Leonard.
I couldn't find Ryan Donnelly over there at third base for a moment. He was halfway down the line when that pitch plunked Anthony Pascal. And this could be a huge out number 2 if the Dolphins can make this routine play, and they do, as that one is fielded by Iacono at second on the fly for a huge second out.
Yeah, it's a huge one, just like you said. And Velarde, a freshman right-hander, he too was on this roster in 2020. That got cut short in a big moment of the game to try and keep Bridgeport at bay and give his offense a chance in the bottom of the 8th and 9th innings.
Steven Giambra is the batter. I think this undoubtedly the biggest plate appearance of the game to this point. Bases loaded for Bridgeport, 2 away. Count 0-1 on Giambra. He's 1 for 3. Looking for a big second base hit right here. Dolphins in search of a huge third out. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. And that's sliced foul. And Giambra quickly behind in the count 0-2.
Giambra 1 for 3 officially. He does have a base hit. Couple of runs scored, and he also walked earlier in this inning.
I think it may be time to go back and look at who hasn't drawn a walk in this game, as we've seen a lot of free passes issued by both sides. 0-2 pitch up coming from Velarde, and that's fouled away once again. And Thomas Joyce will have the unfortunate assignment of chasing that one.
Yeah, due up for the Dolphins next inning.
Good luck.
Yeah, it's gonna be Manzo, and then Velarde, and then Ulaj. But that looks a lot different than Joyce and Martin and Ulaj. So that's going to be something that has to play into Mike Morrow's mind as well going into the 8th. You know, you start the top of the 8th up by 4 runs, and then you have to go to the bottom of the frame down by 1. It changes the complexion of what you had in mind.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That misses inside, evening the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And you mentioned it right after you joined me in the booth, Dave. Dolphins with 27 players on the roster. You have to wonder how many of those are bats that you won up in the late innings trailing by a run. We'll see. 2-2 the count, 2 away in the Purple Knights half of the 8th. And that is swung on and missed for strike 3. A huge strikeout for Nick Velarde, who comes out of the Dolphins bullpen to record 2 huge outs and keep the deficit at a single run. Our score heading into the bottom half of the 8th. Purple Knights 12, Dolphins 11. CSI comes to bat when we return.
Wayne State Medical School has been my dream medical school since I was 5. Athletics are important, but so is service, so is research, so is becoming a better person. And we expect you to do well athletically, but don't forget the reason you're here, which is to give back to your community and to get good grades. It was my sophomore indoor season. It was the first year with our new head coach. And he comes in and he's like, we could be a national contending team if you guys work hard. And I heard him and I was like, well, I want to be a national champion. I want to be an All-American. And I bought in because he bought into our team. And I qualified to go to indoor nationals. I decided I wanted it, so I went and grabbed it.
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet. Dolphins entered this inning ahead by 4. They now trail by a single run as we get set to begin the bottom half of the 8th inning from the CSI baseball complex. But not to be lost in that previous half inning, Nick Velarde coming out of the Dolphins bullpen and recording 2 huge outs to keep the deficit at only a single run. For the Dolphins in their half of the 8th, it will be 4, 5, and 6 due up, but we have changes for the College of Staten Island in those spots in the batting order, and it looks like we will have a pinch hitter to get things started. Oh, no, that's the on-deck batter. So it will indeed be Michael Manzo, who came on to replace Thomas Joyce in right field, leading things off for the Dolphins here in the bottom half of the 8th.
Yeah, and I misspoke before in the top half of the 8th saying that Solomon was the pitcher of record. It's Hafeel who's the pitcher of record. He had come in to replace Solomon, so right now he would stand to be the winning pitcher, and he comes out for his second inning of work, and Michael Manzo is the batter.
Manzo getting his first plate appearance of the day in place of Thomas Joyce, who homered in this game. Seems like ages ago. And Manzo's quickly ahead in the count 1-0. I'll get the batting numbers on Manzo following this pitch. As the 1-0 is in for a called strike. Manzo enters hitting at 167. That's 1 for 6 on the season. Count 1 ball and 1 strike on Manzo. And he fouls one off toward the Dolphins' dugout, running the count to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Standing in the on-deck circle for the Dolphins is Noah Lunn, freshman for the CSI Dolphins team. As Manzo tops one past the mound, charging in from third is Roberts, and his throw is just in time to retire Manzo for the first out.
Very nearly beat it out, Joe. Manzo was on his horse as soon as that one left his bat, and it looks like Noah Lunn will be the pinch hitter here in place of the pitcher, Velarde.
Great defense really has ruled the day, and right there, a great play by Roberts, charging that ball from third and a strong throw in time to retire Manzo. Certainly not an easy play. As mentioned, Noah Lunn will be the batter for the Dolphins. He comes in also hitting at 167. Just like Manzo, 1 for 6 on the season.
Promising young catcher for the Dolphins, Noah Lunn from Millennium High School. True freshman for the Dolphins, 1 of 7 on the roster.
His 1 hit on the season, I was about to say did drive in a run, but tough to read these stats when I can't actually click on the screen. It's a photo, so Lunn does not have an RBI on the season as he's behind in the count 0-1 following that foul ball. And the 0-1 misses well out of the strike zone. Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike. Action in the Dolphins bullpen. No action in the bullpen for the Purple Knights. And Dave, that's Trancucci.
That's Trancucci, yeah, who's been catching and might come in the 9th inning. And because Noah Lunn is also a catcher, so Dolphins will do some positional moving again in the top half of the 9th.
1 ball and 2 strikes, the count on Lunn. And time is called by Noah in the box, and he'll step out for just a moment. Well, you know the Dolphins, or at least 2 years ago anyway, would have seen the Dolphins are serious about winning this game with Trancucci coming out of the bullpen. As that one's popped up on the infield, we'll see who takes charge. And nobody will take charge as that falls in. And you could see that was trouble off the bat. Field pointed at his catcher. His catcher was in no man's land.
Got to call the catcher off there. I mean, I know Roberts is a long distance away, but Hafeel has got to call Pascal off of that ball, and that should have been out number 2 easily. And Noah Lund, the representative tying run, is at first base via a gift.
The Dolphins have had some very fortunate singles in this game. That is the most fortunate of all.
Without a doubt.
Undoubtedly the most fortunate break for the Dolphins on one of those soft pop-ups, but that brings up Shendi Ulaj, and we know he has some pop in that bat as he looks at ball 1, and one swing could give the Dolphins the lead.
Yeah, Ulaj 2 for 4 on the day. He has an RBI double and scored a run when he singled on his 3rd turn at bat. In between that, a struck out looking, and he popped up a bunt on a would-be sacrifice attempt that he had.
1-0 the count on Ulaj. Lund, the runner, over at first. As Sean Fitzpatrick captures a photo of you and I in the booth.
Oh.
I got to pose for it. As that one's taken on the inside corner. Check swing by Ulaj, but a called strike regardless.
You got to warn me about those, Joe. I'm here staring into space.
1 ball and 1 strike the count. Another check swing by Ulaj. Did he go? And he did.
He did, yep.
I thought the home plate umpire was appealing.
I thought the home plate umpire was asking for the base umpire to weigh in.
Exactly. I thought he was appealing to the base umpire, and apparently not, as he was pointing at Ulaj.
Yep, base umpire was stoic there. Didn't even move.
1-2 the count, and that just missed.
Yeah, Hafele knew it too, or Hafeel. He didn't like that and actually let out a pretty exasperated sigh. But Shendi with now new life. We know what Matt Rodriguez did when he had new life last inning. What can Shendi Ulaj do?
2-2 to Ulaj, and he will look at a called strike 3 as Ulaj goes down looking, and returning from the bullpen is Sal Trancucci.
Yeah, so what a busy inning this has been for Trancucci. Almost made one of the most terrific plays I've seen in a long time behind the backstop. Ended up being down for a long period of time, came back, caught the rest of that inning. Looks like right now he's going to be the pitcher in the 9th inning for the Dolphins. Was in the bullpen just a few moments ago, tossing some practice pitches, and now he's up at the plate.
Well, if you're Trancucci, you're looking to bring yourself into a tie game. Should he indeed be the pitcher coming on in the 9th? Perhaps even put himself in a safe situation with one big swing, and there's the big swing attempt, but he comes up empty for strike 1.
He wanted it on that one. Trancucci 2 for 4 officially today. He does have a double and a single. 1 RBI and a run scored. He did hit into a double play his last time up.
1 ball and 1 strike the count. And that misses for ball 2. I was wondering about the potential of a pinch runner over at first should Trancucci find the gap in the outfield. Not sure of Noah Lund's speed, but Dolphins might not have another catcher.
No, and it's a good point.
I do see Alan
Morrell
listed as a catcher.
Not sure what his status is. We haven't seen him thus far this season.
Nick Campisi listed.
Campisi's unavailable for this game.
So options slim to none for the Dolphins. Potentially none, as Lund is the runner over at first. Trancucci the batter, count 2-1 and make it 3-1.
Dolphins would love to get Lund over to second base the easy way here. Julian Iacono is in the on-deck circle. He has a single in this game.
3-1 the count, and Trancucci fouls that pitch away. Well, that gives the Dolphins the advantage of Lund being able to take off with this 3-2 pitch and 2 out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Set him in motion.
Payoff pitch upcoming to Sal Trancucci. Lund will get a head start from first. There he goes. And that's through the legs of the catcher Pascal for ball 4. Lund taking the turn for a second and thinking about it, but he wisely holds it second.
Yeah, so for what it's worth, the Dolphins are 2 bases away from tying this game. Julian Iacono, another true freshman on this Dolphins team, trying to bring another true freshman home from second base in a 1-run ball game. It's a big moment for the young man who is 1 for 3 today. He grounded out to first, hit a sacrifice bunt, got a base hit RBI, and then popped out to short his last time up.
Dolphins have come through in many of these spots already. Runners in scoring position and 2 outs. And Hafil and Pascal will have a word with one another. Bullpen for the Purple Knights remains dormant. Same goes for the Dolphins bullpen, but we presume that Sal Trancucci will be the new pitcher for CSI in the 9th. Julian Iacono, the batter. 2 runners on, 2 outs. Dolphins trail by a run. And that one's hit toward the hole on the left side, off the glove of Roberts. He recovers, but cannot make the throw to first in time. And a huge error, I would presume, on Roberts for bobbling that ball. Not a routine play, but a play that absolutely had to be made.
Absolutely has to be made. That's an E5 all the way, and that's a perfect reason why you hightail it out of the box as soon as you hit that. Iacono made no mistakes. He was charging out of the box, and it pays off. Bases are loaded for Nick Cipoletti, who is 1 for 2 today.
Cipoletti looking to put an exclamation point on what has been a fantastic day for him, as that one is off the first baseman, deflecting away, and the Purple Knights have no play. As Andre Marchessault tried to deal with that tough hop, he could not. Runners are safe all around. We'll see how that one is scored, as the Dolphins have tied this game at 12.
Oh, error all the way, Joe. That's a play that absolutely has to be made. And Marchand just went down on one knee and tried to kind of scoop it up. And thanks to 2 errors, the Dolphins have tied this game up. We've had a little bit of everything, and the bases are still loaded now for Louis Mandiel, who rocketed a double down the left field line his last time up.
Well, Dave, I absolutely agree with you. That's an error, but on a hop like that, you will see some balls scored the other way, as that's hit into no man's land out in shallow left center. But charging in
almost dropped
to make the catch and nearly dropping the ball was Justin Nairady, but that is the final out of the inning. What a bottom half of the 8th here at the CSI Baseball Complex, and what a game, as we are now tied at 12, entering the 9th inning. Purple Knights come to bat when we return from this break.
Being a champion takes more than talent. More than the perfect pass, more than using your head. Being a champion takes the spirit to always push harder, the ability to overcome any hurdle, and the fire to be the best. Welcome to Division 2, where the pursuit is yours to create. And the question isn't, can you do it? It's, will you?
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet in what has been the most entertaining game I have ever called here on Sportsnet. The Dolphins and Purple Knights are tied at 12 runs per side following what was a wild 8th inning here at the College of Staten Island. 5 runs scored by the University of Bridgeport in the top half. They were trailing by 4, took a 1-run lead into the bottom half of the 8th, but the Dolphins able to scratch out a run following a pair of 2-out errors by the Purple Knights. And that brings us to the 9th inning, knotted up at 12 runs per side. For the Purple Knights, it will be 8, 9, and 1 due up against new Dolphins pitcher Sal Trancucci. The numbers for Trancucci on the season are non-existent, as for the second time today, we will have a pitcher making his season debut. First, it was for the Purple Knights. Now for the Dolphins, it is Trancucci coming on, and he hopes to fare much like Tyler Solomon did, making his season debut.
Yeah, and I misspoke, Joe. I didn't think that Nick Campisi was available for the Dolphins, but he is coming in to catch, so he takes over that place that was occupied in the DH role by Noah Lunn. So Lunn out and Campisi in at catcher. in what used to be the DH role at one point in this game. And then Trancucci just slides over positions from catcher to pitcher. Everything else pretty much the same. And, Joe, we've seen just about everything through 8 innings. I'm sure we have plenty to see in the next few outs here.
Well, these two teams are tied, and something has to give as we get underway here in inning number 9. Dolphins and Purple Knights tied at 12, and the first pitch from Sal Trancucci misses low for ball 1. Jacob Rich, the designated hitter for the Purple Knights, at the plate right here. He's 1 for 3 with a triple. And he takes a called strike.
He also walked and scored in that 5-run 8th inning where Bridgeport took the lead for the 3rd time in the game.
And that is in for a called strike 2. So 1 ball and 2 strikes the count on Rich as Trancucci looks to retire the leadoff hitter. Something that's been tough to do for pitchers on both sides in this game.
Yep.
And the 1-2 is just off the outside corner.
Yeah, Campisi didn't frame that up really well, but Trancucci was looking for that outside corner there.
Well, I watched Campisi throw the ball to second following Trancucci's last warm-up pitch, and he appears to have a very strong arm behind the plate. Dolphins hope he doesn't have to use it. Here comes the 2-2. Check swing by Rich, no appeal, and that will run the count full.
Yeah, that's a tough pitch to lay off, and just missed the strike zone a little bit to the outside. Trancucci wanted it. He's missed there the last 2 pitches. Let's see where he goes with this one.
And that is popped up in foul territory, and Kalika will run out of room. I don't have a tally on how many full counts we've seen today, but we have seen many a battle between pitcher and hitter in this game. I'll get a look at the total pitch count in between innings between the two sides, but it has to be up there. Here comes the payoff pitch. And that is in for a called strike 3. Rich knew it, and he looks at strike 3 on the inside corner for a big out number 1.
Yeah, so the Dolphins have now retired the last 2 batters via the strikeout. The last one was Velarde's. Now this one for Trancucci, and Justin Nairati is up. And his base hit feels like forever ago. That was back in the 2nd inning. Since then, he's 0 for 3, grounded into a fielder's choice and was caught stealing, grounded into a double play and struck out his last at-bat. But the top of the order, which has done a host of damage, is next for Bridgeport.
Count even at 1 ball and 1 strike on Nairati. And as you said, Dave, the top of the Purple Knights batting order looming. The dangerous bats of Donnelly and Marchesal in the middle of that lineup as that's chopped over to short, and Cipoletti with the throw over to first in time for out number 2. And that will bring up Connell Roberts.
Yeah, Nick Cipoletti has played a fantastic shortstop today for CSI Dolphins. You know, it's not going to show up too big on the scorecard, especially in a game that features 24 runs on 26 hits. But he's been really steady and has had to make a lot of plays. And now, as you mentioned, Connell Roberts, top of the order.
And that one blown right by Roberts there for strike 1.
Roberts, the only member of the Purple Knights without a hit in this game, although he did walk and score his last time up.
And once again, Trancucci powers that fastball right by Roberts, who appears overmatched, and he's behind 0-2.
Important now for Sal to be selective with his pitches.
Came right at him with another fastball. Once again, skied into foul territory and out of play, nearly to the exact same spot as that last foul ball. And the count remains no balls and 2 strikes. But I said it before, Dave, when saw the Dolphins warming up Trancucci, you knew they were going for it in this game as Trancucci pitched some of the biggest innings of the season back in 2019 and making his season debut right here. The Dolphins going all out to try and pick up their first East Coast Conference victory of 2021. Here comes the 0-2 pitch.
That's it.
And that is in for a called strike 3. I thought for sure that was in the zone. Roberts apparently did not think so, but he is set down on strikes to bring the top half of the 9th inning to a close. Dolphins with a chance to win it in the bottom half when we come back here on CSI Sportsnet, now a proud part of the ECC network.
In NCAA Division II, community engagement is an initiative at all 25 national championships because student-athletes want to give back while competing for a national title. Over the course of the year, Division II student-athletes have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression in local communities throughout the country. Whether Division II student-athletes are volunteering at hospitals, schools, after-school care programs, foster homes, or retirement villages, they make a difference in the lives of others. In Division II, we rise to the opportunity and make community engagement ours.
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet, and this has been potentially the most entertaining regular season game we have ever covered. 12-12 in our season debut on the ECC network. And Dave, the Dolphins have a chance to win it here in the bottom half of the 9th inning, ending their home opener with a walk-off victory.
Well, listen, this is the situation you want to be in, right? Bottom of the 9th, tie game. You got the heart of the order coming up, although that order has seen a little bit of shuffling. But Dominic Castiglione starts things off, and he's been superb today. He's been on base 4 out of 5 times. He's got a pair of singles. He's got 3 RBIs and a run scored. So if ever there's going to be someone to give you a start, Dominic Castiglione is the man. And Peter Lombardo's up after – Stephen Kalika's up after him. So a little bit of pop here to start the bottom of the 3rd.
For the Dolphins, it will be the 2, 3, and 4 spots in the batting order due up, and a chance to win it for the College of Staten Island in the bottom half of the 9th inning. Castiglione 2 for 3 as he looks at ball 1. A raucous Dolphins dugout making some noise as the sun begins to set over the CSI baseball complex. The 1-0 to Castiglione, hit on the ground to short, bobbled for a moment by Rodriguez, but he does not lose the play as Castiglione is retired for out number 1.
Yeah, we know we have a new audience with the University of Bridgeport tuning in, but if you're a fan of the CSI Dolphins, this is not unfamiliar to you at all. The Dolphins have really made a big habit of dramatics in the final innings of many, many, many games that we've covered here on CSI Sports, and this will be another one of them, win or lose. This one was an exciting one from start to finish, and Kalika looking to give the Dolphins a start to the finish.
Do you remember your nickname for the Dolphins back during that run of consecutive CUNYAC championships?
The drama.
The Cardiac Kids.
The Cardiac
Dave.
Kids.
The Cardiac Kids, Dave.
Yeah.
And they are living up to the billing today as a part of their new conference, the ECC. And our viewers on the ECC network are being treated to a good one here this afternoon as we bleed into the night. This game, 3 hours and 24 minutes old.
Yeah, these teams have played a lot of baseball and really have given their fans a lot of, great offense, really. 17-10, 13-10, and now 12-12.
As Kalika looks it up and away for ball 2, I have to admit, Dave, I would have no problem if every game we called featured these two teams playing one another.
Yeah.
Assuming they all turned out like this, 12-12, moving with a fairly brisk pace given how many runs have been scored.
Well, it's just been exciting. It's been big hits when there needed to be big hits. We've seen good fielding. We've seen, clutch pitching in moments.
As Kalika chops one foul just outside of first base, and that evens the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Yeah, and I'm a huge fan of low-scoring games. Like, I love 1-0 games, 2-1 games, but sometimes games like this can be a lot of fun. And, this game kind of feels like a playoff game, it's really early season. It doesn't mean a tremendous amount, but the Dolphins are really going after it, and Bridgeport wants to win this series 3-0.
2-2 the count, and Kalika fouls another one off, this time down the left field line, and it lands just out of the reach of Nayarati out there in left field.
Yeah, Nayarati's a very good left fielder, and he really gave that one a good chase, wanting to get that second out registered. On deck is Michael Manzo, who you remember came on as a defensive substitution in place of Thomas Joyce, who homered in this game.
Here comes another 2-2 pitch, and that's up high for ball 3. Kalika working a good at-bat here as we have yet another 3-2 count. Here comes the payoff pitch. And that is lined into left field for a base hit, and the Dolphins have the winning run on first base.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to do. You just want a base runner on now. We've seen Bridgeport get in trouble in the field and booting a couple of balls. Now the Dolphins are, a bat on the ball or a misplay away from getting this runner in scoring position, and that's what you want. Michael Manzo, and you wonder with, forget who's, now we have Campese on deck.
Well, it's
Lund.
Lund, so I guess he's in the DH spot. Yeah, Lund is in the DH spot and Campese in at catcher.
That's so odd.
So Trancucci will still bat, and that is just such an abnormal lineup change. I think that's correct anyway.
I don't think so, Joe, because we lost the DH during that pitching shuffle. I don't know what the Dolphins were doing there, but let's see.
We'll find out in just a few moments, assuming that we don't have a double play, bring the inning to a close. And
now there's nobody in the on-deck circle for the Dolphins.
Manzo's quickly in a 2-strike hole, and all right, they're getting that fixed as they accidentally put a second out up on the scoreboard instead of a second strike. There we go.
Yeah.
0-2 the count on Manzo. The runner on first is Kalika, and Campese will indeed be the on-deck batter should the inning continue. As that 0-2 pitch misses out of the strike zone. Count now 1 ball and 2 strikes as now the sun has completely set over the College of Staten Island. And I'm going to be very happy I brought my hoodie up to the booth should this game continue. And Manzo will prolong this at bat just a bit longer as he steps out of the box. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Extra base hit could win it for the Dolphins.
Ooh, struck him out.
That is in for a called strike 3 as Manzo, dancing out of the way of that pitch, I would presume didn't think that ball found the strike zone, but on the inside corner for a called strike 3 was that 1-2 pitch, and that will bring up Nick Campese.
Yeah, and I believe this is his, obviously his first at-bat of the game. Another true freshman for the Dolphins.
Third at-bat of the season for Campese as that one's chopped on the infield, and the throw to first is just in time to retire Campese, and we are headed to extra innings. Our score remaining tied at 12 through 9, and for the first time since the second inning, neither team scores in inning number 9. 10th inning when we come back here on CSI Sportsnet.
Well, for me, just kind of was the glue that kept my family together, I feel like. I don't know what it was that drew me in, but after I started playing for a while and started seeing some early success as a little kid, to see how much it meant to my parents to see me play the game and try to make a difference was really what fueled me to keep playing and stay competitive. Being a triple major is not necessarily easy, but at the same time it is what you make it. Being a tighter-knit university, I have a lot of classes with the same professors, so they know me pretty well. I think it's that personal relationship that really helped me to thrive as a student. I was able to come here and get my triple major, as well as play a super high level of baseball against some of the best players in the country. There's a lot of options here in Division II with a lot of great ball players and a lot of great people, and they make sure that they give you every opportunity to succeed on and off the field.
And we are back here on CSI Sportsnet. Extra innings for the first time this year as the Dolphins and Purple Knights remain tied at 12 after 9. Sal Trancucci returns to the mound for the College of Staten Island. He put up a 0 in the top half of the 9th. Dolphins couldn't push across the winning run in the bottom half. Stranded a runner over at first base. And for the Purple Knights in their half of the 10th, I can't tell you who's coming to bat because digital stat keeping has failed me entering the 10th inning. I think it's 2, 3, and 4, if I'm not mistaken. But now
I have it. Yeah, it's 2, 3, and 4.
They're not highlighting the next batter due up. So
too many innings, Joe.
Perhaps pen and paper will win the day as we head into the 10th inning. And Dolphins looking to pick up their first East Coast Conference win of the season, their first win of the season overall, and this their home opener. They'll be right back here at the CSI Baseball Complex on Wednesday for a 4 p.m. meeting with Dominican. They hope coming off of a victory against the Purple Knights here now tonight.
And here is the setup, Joe. I mean, 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Between these 2, 3, and 4 hitters, we have 2 home runs, 2 doubles, a triple, and a single, and that one is smoked.
2 straightaway left, but waiting underneath it is Mandil for the first out of the inning. And off the bat, that sounded like trouble.
It did, and Matt Rodriguez, didn't want to wait. He wanted to see just a quick pitch from Trancucci and deliver one, and that now leaves it up to Ryan Donnelly, who has hit a 3-run home run in this game and has walked 3 times. He's 1 for 2 officially.
First pitch to Donnelly from Trancucci is ripped once again, this time into right center, and unable to cut the ball off was Castiglione. He did get a piece of it. Throw coming into second, not in time, and Donnelly slides in safely with a 1-out double.
Yep, and that brings up Andre Marchesal, who has been terrific as well in this game. He is 3 for 5, a home run, a triple, and a single. Runner in scoring position. This has been where he has been terrific. He's got 4 RBI in the game. Huge moment here in extra frames.
Dave, you have to think they're going to pitch around him here. You just have to think that with first base open, you need to at least be careful as that misses high for ball 1.
Yeah, it's a good point. And if you're Marchesal, you know that, so you're waiting for your pitch, and it's got to be perfect. And
Trancucci has had command of the strike zone, and setting up the force all around, I think you have to be extremely careful at this at-bat. But we've seen my insights go unheeded, and the results play out pretty well for the Dolphins so far in this game. So what do I know?
Yeah.
As the count is 1-0, that's why you and I are up here.
I was going to say, there's a reason why you and I are up here, and they're down there, Joe.
And that misses inside for ball 2.
Marchesal, one of 4 seniors on the Bridgeport team, and they're all in the starting lineup. Roberts, Rodriguez, who we just saw, and Marchesal, and Steven Giambra.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a waste pitch from Trancucci here, behind in the count 2-0, and that one is, I believe, off the window to our right, perhaps, as Sean Fitzpatrick, our photographer, nearly coming away with his first foul ball retrieved of the season.
He made no effort on that, Joe.
He certainly did not. He's dedicated to the craft of photography and hard at work behind home plate. 2 balls and 1 strike the count. And Trancucci coming right after Marchesal, who fouls off another one, and the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Speaking of hard workers, Joe, we have Joe Masha, who is doing our camera operations and, of course, our graphic designs and our engineering for this game, and hanging in there. Selfless job behind that computer screen, but we thank Joe for all of his hard work.
Certainly wasn't thankless during our broadcast on All Sports TV last night. The broadcast ended with a shout-out to Nicholas Durst.
Oh, really?
It did, as that one's chopped foul by Marchesal. Count remains 2-2, but it was the game against Curry College men's basketball for the Tournament of Heroes. That was a thriller. That's about as good as it gets, and I wanted to see what our broadcast was like, televised with commercials. I got to look at that game and watched it all the way through.
Yep. Did you see the Super Chamois commercial and the My Pillow commercial, Joe?
Yes, I actually saw, now that you mention it, I saw the commercial for the plastic face shield.
Oh, yes. Like those late night commercials, they get my wallet moving, let me tell you.
No less than 15 times over the course of the broadcast. They really got me when they said, try out the shield and a mask for added protection. I was laughing out loud as that one's fouled back, but that face shield commercial had me cracking up the first time I saw it. The person walking down the street with the face shield and a mask.
Right.
I mean,
for those
give me a break.
For those who don't know, the All Sports Television Network is a new broadcast TV network that's available on over-the-top Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, and is available in certain markets, especially in the West Coast and on Verizon cable systems. And CSI is right now the only college broadcasting on it. I mean, they're showing some of our, tape delay stuff from a couple of seasons ago, but all the games that we cover here on CSI Sportsnet this year will be housed not just on CSI Sportsnet and the ECC network, but on All Sports Television Network as well, available worldwide.
Right now, Roku, the most effective platform for viewing All Sports Television Network here on the East Coast, tuned in for the first time yesterday as the 2-2 pitch is fouled back. Time was called before the previous pitch, so I think 2-2 is the correct count.
Yeah, Marchesal is, withering the baseballs down that are being used. He's fouled 3 or 4 off already that have gone completely out of the complex here.
Well, it gave us a chance to shout out some of those infomercials from All Sports Television. Certainly appreciate that. As I had a smile on my face watching those commercial breaks all night during that game. That broadcast extended, I believe, well over 2 hours, double overtime.
Yeah, that was a good one. One of the better games we saw here on Sportsnet.
As the 2-2 is off Trancucci's glove, he tracks it down, bobbles the ball, and ends up not throwing it, I believe. And
no, he did.
It
was way late, but a hard luck senior, the hard luck single for the senior puts runners at the corners now with 1 out.
Well, I lost that ball as Trancucci did a nice job to shield it from me. Dave, to me, it looked like the ball disappeared in his hand. I thought maybe he dropped it.
It kind of fell straight down from his glove, and it took him a little moment to track it, and then he didn't field it cleanly, but that's a single.
I had the ball tracked to the point where he attempted to throw, and then I completely lost it. I think he short-armed it and rifled that ball over to first, trying to make a play out of it, but by then it was far too late.
2, 3, and 4 hitters now with 7 hits of Bridgeport's 12 in the game. And Pascal has done a pretty admirable job as well. He's officially 1 for 3, but he's been on base 3 out of the 5 times he's been up. He does have a walk. He was hit by a pitch, a single and an RBI in the game. And now they have Marchesal on a rundown. Wow, that was a tough throw.
That was a poor throw to the plate. The one mistake Cipoletti's made all day, but he was running to his left. Not an easy throw, but it arrived on a hop, and it was going to take a strike to Campisi to cut down the runner coming home. And you're in a situation like that, perhaps you let the runner take second, but the Dolphins appeared to have that executed pretty well, but the throw just didn't get to the plate in time.
Yep, and it was a throw that had very little conviction on it. Campisi had no chance, and so the run scores.
So Marchesal stands at second, 1 away. Pascal, the batter, and he fouls one straight back as I give a shake of the head to Sean Fitzpatrick. TJ Tibbs just telling him to get out of here after a reaction like that behind the netting. We saw it, Sean.
Yeah. But if you're Sal Trancucci now, mission number 1 obviously is to get out of this inning with just having yielded the 1 run. That runner at second is huge right now.
Swing and a miss there by Pascal runs the count to no balls and 2 strikes. Huge pitch upcoming for Trancucci right here. Still looking for the second out of the inning. Takes a couple of looks towards second and misses high for ball 1. Well, the hoodie is going on during the break between innings as the temperature expected to drop quickly as night falls here on the CSI Baseball Complex. 1-2 the count on Pascal, and that is swung on and missed for strike 3. So a big strikeout for Sal Trancucci, and how much bigger would that strikeout have been had the Dolphins held the runner at third or recorded the out at the plate?
Yeah, for sure. And, it's amazing in a game like this where we've seen so much of everything, how the potential game-winning run could have come on a would-be pickoff attempt that went awry and the home plate being taken by the lead runner. We've seen, I think, just about everything that baseball really has to offer we've seen in this now 9.5 innings. And Leonard still with an opportunity to do something bigger. He's 1 for 4 in the game. He does have a single. He's been walked once.
He's ahead in the count here, 1-0. And the pitch from Trancucci is hit sharply towards short. Cipoletti snags it on the hop and throws out Leonard to bring the top half of the 10th to a close. Perhaps a moment of redemption for Nick Cipoletti over at shortstop, as he couldn't cut down the runner at the plate, but makes a tremendous grab there to save at least one more run. Dolphins will trail 13-12 when they come to bat in the bottom half of the 10th inning after this break.
My path to a college degree would have been completely different had I not run Division II cross country for the University of Mount Olive. Having an athletic and academic scholarship was key for my success. Our coaches were really helpful with balancing out my academics and athletics. I decided to attend graduate school because I wanted to become an athletic director. Receiving the postgraduate scholarship through the NCAA provided me with the flexibility to choose the school that I wanted. So now I know that I can accomplish any goal that I set for myself.
And we are back from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins with 3 outs to play with in the bottom half of the 10th inning. They need 1 run to tie, and 2 will be enough to win it as they come to bat. In their half of the 10th, it will be 6, 7, and 8 due up for the College of Staten Island. And I believe it will be 3 starting players coming to the plate: Ulaj, Trancucci, and Iacono, as the Dolphins have made a lot of changes in this game, but the 6th, 7th, and 8th spots remain unchanged. And they will face Justin Hafil, who remains the pitcher for the University of Bridgeport. A strong outing for him on the mound as well.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he came in, and, after things got steadied a little bit, the Dolphins, had tagged the relief pitching, had gone up by a score of 1.9-4. But Hafili's been good at keeping the Dolphins at bay, and if he could do it for 3 more outs, Bridgeport's going to have a series sweep.
Shendi Ulaj tops the first pitch he sees, foul. And the bottom half of the 10th inning is underway. Dolphins looking to, at the very least, prolong this game, and hopefully, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, win it. The Purple Knights are 3 outs away from a season series sweep, as Dave mentioned.
Ulaj officially 2 for 5 in the game. He's doubled and singled. He has an RBI. He has struck out twice, both times looking, including his last at-bat.
1 ball and 1 strike, the count on Ulaj. And he is hit by the pitch, and Ulaj will take first base to lead off the bottom half of the 10th.
All right, can't do much more than that. Get on base any way you can as you represent the game-tying run. And Sal Trancucci, who's right now started the game as the catcher and is now the pitcher of record in the game, he now comes up to bat, and he is 2 for 4 today. He's reached base 3 times. He has a single, a double, and a walk, an RBI, and a run scored.
Well, my insights have gone nowhere, Dave. Do you expect him to bunt? And I guess they answered my question right there on that first pitch, as that one's bunted foul.
Bunting with Iacono on deck, Cipoletti up after him. It's a bold move, considering how well Trancucci has swung the bat.
Iacono and Cipoletti, I'm trying to get their batting numbers combined on the season. Cipoletti 2 for 15 and Iacono 1 for 4. So 3 for 19 combined behind Trancucci, who bunts another one foul. And as for Trancucci, he came in 2 for 8.
Yeah, now he's 0 for 2 in the hole and now has to become a hitter after trying to be a bunter for the last 2 swings. He's in a tough spot here. Iacono on deck is 1 for 4.
Should mention those numbers I provided entering today's game. No balls and 2 strikes the count. And Trancucci goes down swinging for the first out in the bottom half of the 10th.
Yeah, so Iacono now is the batter. Dolphins wanted Ulaj in scoring position for Iacono, and that goes by the wayside. So now with 2 outs remaining in this game for the Dolphins, Iacono, one of the Dolphins' last hopes.
He takes a big swing at the first pitch and comes up empty for strike 1. As you mentioned, he is 1 for 4 in the game. Looking for a big base hit here or to get on any way he can and move that tying run into scoring position. And the 0-1 is hit softly on the ground to the left side. Only play for Roberts is to first, and the throw is just in time. But that will move that tying run over to second base, and I think we might, no pinch hitter. It will be Nick Cipoletti, as that was the on-deck batter, Louis Mandil, catching the bat from Iacono, and it is left to the Dolphins shortstop, who has been in the middle of just about every key play in this game so far.
He's been tremendous in the field. He's 1 for 4 with a sacrifice in the game as well. He has reached base twice. He did earn on via error as well. He's got wheels. He can leg one out if something is hit weakly in the infield. Ulaj is at second. If something's in the gap, he should be sent home.
0-1 the count on Cipoletti. And that one is hit well out to deep left field. That ball is heading toward the wall, and it's off the base of the fence. The tying run will come in to score, and Nick Cipoletti is into second base standing with an RBI double. We are now tied at 13 as Cipoletti comes through once again.
There's a hit that young man is going to remember for a long time. Nick Cipoletti coming through in the bottom of the 10th inning. That was a rope to left center field, really to left field. And, 10 more feet on that, Joe, and that one would have been over the fence. And now we're going to have an intentional walk, I think, Joe, as Mandil has
Force all around.
Yep, put at first base. And that'll bring up Dominic Castiglione. So Mandil, with the intentional base on balls, brings up Castiglione, who's got 2 hits, both RBI hits. He has 3 in the game. What a moment here. First and second now with 2 out.
Well, I was certain that ball was heading over the left field wall, Dave. He put a charge into that one. And if it were not for the wind, that ball certainly gets over as the wind is blowing to right field and knocked that one down a bit. But it was enough to tie the game. Castiglione with a chance to win it. He's ahead in the count, 1-0. Runners on first and second, 2 outs. And that's it on the ground to short. Tough hop over there. Rodriguez can't handle it, but holding at third is Cipoletti, and the bases are loaded for the Dolphins with 2 away.
That's the 6th error of the game for the University of Bridgeport. It extends the inning, and if you're the Purple Knights, you intentionally walk Mandil, who's now at second. Castiglione's at first via the error, playing with a little bit of fire, and Stephen Kalika, who had a base hit in his last at-bat, a chance to be the hero.
Cardiac Kids strike again, Dave, as they manage to tie it with 2 away and have now loaded the bases. Kalika with a chance to win it, and he looks at a called strike 1.
Kalika, the lefty bat, going up against the righty Hafil, the pitcher of record.
0-1 the count on Kalika. And that one is ripped out into right center field, and it will find the gap, and the Dolphins have won it. Stephen Kalika with a walk-off RBI base hit. The Dolphins have won their home opener and have won their first game in East Coast Conference play of the 2021 season in extras. Our final score, CSI 14 and Bridgeport 13.
What a moment for the Dolphins, Joe. What a moment. They were on the brink of a loss in this game. Down to their final couple of outs. It took a huge monster shot from Cipoletti to get this game tied, and another pinch hit situation or a defensive substitution in Stephen Kalika comes through with the game-winning hit. What a moment for the Dolphins. Their first victory of the season, their first victory as an ECC conference school, and they salvaged the series and win this one 14-13. Another football score, Joe, and it was a good one for us.
You're right about that. We certainly won't complain, as it took 10 innings, but the College of Staten Island wins it by a final score of 14-13. This one clocking in at an even 3 hours and 50 minutes. And Dave, we could not have asked for a more entertaining debut baseball broadcast on the ECC network. What a home opener. Unfortunately, the fans couldn't be here to see it, but we're happy to bring the action to you on CSI Sportsnet, as we've mentioned several times already. Now a proud part of the ECC network. What a way to start the season.
That was a fun game, Joe. That was a fun game. It was frustrating at times. It was like, oh, man, what are they doing in some other times? But it was a fun game. We've been treated to 3 good ones between these two teams. A lot of offense. If you like that kind of game, these teams gave you the spoils. Hard fought. These two teams never quit. They were both down during this game. They both had comfortable leads during this game. And it took extra frames, free baseball, as Charles Gomes would say, who tuned in. So thank you, Charles, for being with us. What a game. What a moment for the Dolphins. That's the way you win your first game ever as a conference school. Congratulations to the Dolphins. And they move on from here. A little sore, Joe, but feeling a lot better about themselves.
Certainly feel a lot better about playing 10 innings coming off of a victory. And as I mentioned before, we'll be back on the air Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. when the Dolphins take on Dominican in a single 9-inning game. But very quickly, before we sign off, we'll take a look at some standouts from this game for the Dolphins. Several players with 2 hits, those being Dominic Castiglione, Peter Lombardo, Thomas Joyce, Shendi Ulaj, Nick Cipoletti, one of those hits being a huge hit to tie the game in the 10th, and then Stephen Kalika went 2 for 2. He won it with a walk-off base hit in the bottom half of the 10th. And for the College of Staten Island, picking up the win is Sal Trancucci in a game that wasn't necessarily well pitched by either side, but the Dolphins getting just enough to hold on and pick up the victory. So with that, we will sign off for the first time this season in our debut baseball broadcast on the ECC network. The Dolphins win it, their 2021 home opener. Our final score, the College of Staten Island 14, the University of Bridgeport 13. This has been Joe Foreman, and for David Pizzuto and our engineer, Joe Masha, we thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Once again, our final score, the Dolphins 14, Bridgeport 13. Our next broadcast Wednesday at 4 p.m. when the Dolphins take on Dominican.